The War of Five Kings has been a catastrophe, a bloody pox upon the land, a calamity unfolding over time, affecting the lives of everybody. As the Brotherhood Without Banners, you seek to make a difference. Gathered together under the guidance of one man, Beric Dondarrion, the Lightning Lord. You fight, you struggle, and an opportunity has arisen. You find yourselves cresting a hill, moving at the plodding pace of an army towards Greyholm. You've heard it said that House Hack, the leader, the heir, Valamir, will be there, gathering levies and supplies and carrying them back to his keep. It is the opportunity that you need to make an example of a lord who has gotten ahead of himself and has been a plague upon the land. As you crest the hill, moving through a small copse of trees, you find yourselves in a burned out village. You know, it used to be the town of Miller's Ford, but now it is but a husk. What are you thinking, Elric, as you pass through this forsaken town?
He's probably just tired, and like sniffing, coughing. But mostly, he just like doesn't understand how these people can be so like ungrateful for all the bounty that's around here, and how easy it is to live here, um, and like how easily everyone could do fine, but they just don't. Um, in the Iron Islands, it's not like that. You really got to struggle for every scrap of meat that you can find. And here, there's just so much plenty. And he would kind of just like shrug, not really understand these like soft lords and the soft people who like whine about not getting things handed to them.
Yeah, these thoughts they pass your mind, slipping through as you see just people unable to defend what they believe is theirs, things that they take for granted, the plenty that you know exists in the Riverlands. And as you're passing the burned out shell of one of these homes, the wind catches one of the beams, toppling the roof inward, startling many of the group that plod behind you. Aelred, as you're kind of moving on, the wind whipping through your hair, the cold rain falling upon your shoulders, how do you feel about this war, this disgusting misuse of power? Okay, I'll ask the question of somebody else. How does
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't realise I was muted. Elriding around at the fields, which have it's taken years and generations, he knows, of hard work and labour to get them to this level of fertility and prosperity, and now very quickly, within the space of a few years, they are being overtaken by weeds and falling back into unproductive wilderlands, and there's an anger inside him as he sees this waste, and because he's seen the starvation that this brings as well. And some of the there's a slight ash and burning acids taste in the wind, and maybe that's what brings a sort of slight tear to his eye, but he blinks it away. He's seen worse, and he just grips his military pick, his pickaxe, and slams it into slams it a bit into slams it into the earth next to him, breaking it up, and then puts it back in his belt, cursing under his breath. He's looking forward to this fight.
Yeah, your swing would cut the earth, cleaving it easily, dragging up as you pull it back to the surface. A charred and blackened bone hidden beneath the earth. It kind of pops to the surface, this buried monstrosity, this buried horrific act that's been committed here, hidden from the world to see. And as you kind of pass the town, finishing, coming out the other side of Miller's Ford, you would get back onto the path, moving along, following the main of the column, until eventually, by the end of the day, you come to a stop and set up camp. A messenger would seek each of you out, finding you and calling you to the shabby thing you call a command tent of some sort. You would each have been summoned. Aubrey, you would arrive first, knowing that just beyond Angai, the leader, in the absence of Barrick and Thoros, is waiting beyond.
Yeah, Aubrey will not wait for anyone else and will go ahead looking for Angai.
Yeah, the person waiting at the front, the guard, would kind of look at you, give you a nod, and pull the tent flap aside, allowing you to enter. You'd see kind of behind a couple of, not really, you couldn't even call it a table. Some of the rations have been piled up, and like a loose piece of cloth placed over them, making a makeshift table of sorts. Standing behind it is Angai, this well-known archer from the Stormlands, given command in the absence of Barrick. He would kind of give you a nod and a smile. Being an archer yourself, you're one of the few he respects in that regard in the camp. Aubrey, welcome.
Okay, thank you. What's the word?
Well, as far as our scouts have noticed, they have not left yet. They're still there. Our window has not left us. We have a chance. The sound of approaching feet could be heard from outside, and he would kind of walk up to the tent flap, opening it and allowing Kevin, I don't know what your character's name is, but allowing you to enter. If you could post that in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. It's Ethan anyway. Ethan Snow. Yeah. So Ethan would enter and nod to Angai and say, "Sir, you called for us. Are we expecting to move soon? Any news from them? Are they looking to join the Lions?"
House Hack has made it clear that they don't wish to swear allegiances to anyone quite yet. So, as of now, they're still a neutral party. But there are rumors. But we'll wait for now. We'll wait for the others to show. I have a mission for you.
Okay. Specifics? Or is it just the two of us? Or will there be more?
No, Elric and Aelred will be joining you as well.
Elric? Well, this should be brutal then.
Hopefully not, but we'll see. His temperament is questionable at the best of times. Speaking of which, you kind of like look out the flap and see Elric and Aelred approaching. Kind of give you a nod and pull it to the side. Come in, come in.
Elric would like press down on one nostril and like expel a bunch of snot out the other before walking into the tent.
Aelred just walks in, glancing at the others, and then turning to Angai to see what he wants. He's a little bit surprised at being called in for something special.
Well, now that we're all here, it would be folly of us to charge it without knowing what is going on. As such, you've all been promoted to advanced scouts. Congratulations. We are in dire need of information as to how many men are in there, where they're staying, etc. You know what we're looking for. Before we can attack, we need to know. So the four of you, I need to kind of nod to you all, are going to go into the town. The way I hear it, they aren't stopping anyone. They're checking people for sure. But gather what intel you can, return, and we will attack tonight. Any questions?
Are we going armed?
Yes, of course. They won't question that, I'm sure. At dangerous times, man needs to be able to defend himself.
Excellent.
I've heard the maesters in the north and other places communicate with ravens. Do you have any raven that we can take in and communicate with you?
I think that something could be arranged. Obviously, we want to make it appear that you're just travelers on the road. So you'll be taking one of the wagons and supplies. I'm sure that they will apprehend them in the name of House Hack for the war efforts, whatever lies they choose to conjure up. But I don't think they would deprive you of your ravens.
Alred, can you write? Can any of us
I can't.
write?
Not me.
I had some training with Maester Lewin, but not too much.
We kind of frown at this, nodding. Obviously, the vast majority of people in the camp are untrained in this skill. Well, that does put a damper on things, doesn't it?
What about, could we get someone to write some pre-messages? And we just attach the correct one.
I can do numbers.
He would slowly nod at this. I'll have some prepared for you. As for answers we're looking for, we need to know approximate numbers of men they have, maybe where they're stationed. Any cavalry they might have. We don't have any. That could be changing for a fight. Devastating, should we not know about them in advance. Are there any townsfolk who are particularly angry with this host? Will they join us? Do they have any hostages, weaknesses, things like this?
Have we pikes to the ready in case?
We have some, nothing substantial, though. We can't form a proper pike wall should we need to.
So we're to go in and deliberately lose our cart. Supposed to just give it to them.
Well, if you can avoid it, maybe not. Though, keep them happy, not suspicious. That would be useful. We'll give you minor supplies, nothing too much. It's all appearance for these things.
Nah, Elred can do the talking.
Are there any questions?
No, sir. I think it's clear what we need to do.
What if we encounter complications?
That's what
I've
I'm
been.
for.
He'd kind of smile at this and nod. Exactly. I expect you to deal with them best you can. Quietly get out if you're compromised, obviously. But gather information first. Be back quickly, as quick as you can. And if need be, if you need to leave early, do so. I'm not going to risk your lives. It's not worth it to me. Handle things subtly if possible.
Yeah, subtle. It's the Black Pike's first name.
Indeed. Well, the cart is already ready. If you don't need anything else, please, with haste. We'll expect you back by tomorrow night.
If there's a disagreement over what we should do, who's the commander here?
You'd kind of look over the four of you, kind of judging experience. Would any of you say you've had a command before?
No, I'm
No.
still quite young.
I don't think like a command necessarily. I might have been on raids, I imagine, like Ironborn raids, but they're not really military in the way that like the rest of Westeros thinks they are.
I imagine
And then,
Ethan,
sorry, go ahead, what?
Ethan would probably look at Elric to lead, being the oldest of the four of us.
Yeah, he would kind of like his eyes would kind of glance back and forth between Elric and Aelred, kind of looking over you, and then knowing that you, Elric, have had the experience of most experience of being a part of a command and going to battle, knowing the difference an advantage can make a piece of information. He would kind of nod to you. In a disagreement, final say goes to Elric.
Yeah, says Elred.
He'll like smile and show some of his missing teeth.
And he would kind of give you a look like this, like don't push it, like we're trusting you with this. Very well. If there's nothing else that you need, then you are dismissed. You'll find the cart on the north end of our camp.
Elric will give a salute, although he always kind of does it mockingly. It's like one of these affectations that soft people have from soft lands. At home, they just nod, less energy expended. But he'll give this like salute, and then he'll like walk out the tent.
Ethan would actually salute quite seriously, being used to following orders. So maybe not
Elric
catching
too.
the meaning of Elric's, but
Okay. As you make your way out of the tent, passing through camp, you'd see people just left over from a weary march, kind of taking their boots off, warming them by the fire. You see people kind of giving you looks as you come out of the tent. Never exactly. Oh wait, Cal, that's a lot of like A and E starting sounds for the names. But he would kind of just the people would like kind of give you looks as you step out. Not knowing exactly what happened, what's going on, but knowing that you've been asked to do something specifically. And as you made your way through camp, is there anything anyone needs to gather? Anything they need to do before they go?
just grab my equipment from wherever I'd kind of chuck my bedroll. I probably wouldn't take a bedroll, just any weapons I might have collected along our campaign so far. And then maybe a few handful of coins, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Elred will leave his mules with someone he trusts, one of the camp cooks, and just take what he can carry.
Yeah, Elric doesn't have much. Other things he has, he's taken in the Ironborn fashion, and he's not a very good Ironborn, so he doesn't have much.
Yeah, and then I'd head to the north side of the camp to find our wagon full of goods. Maybe check it over to kind of do a quick scan for inventory.
Yeah, you'd see that they've kind of given you, just sundry items. There's like a little bit of food in there and a couple of bags, a single barrel. You would see that there are a cage. There's one cage with like a couple ravens in it, with a little pack kind of tied to the side of it. If you were to pull it open, anybody who can like kind of read would see that there'd be kind of like there's like one that has like men like on it, like so like you think that's like for the number of people. One that says like cavalry or like horse essentially. So just like very small, simple words, recognizable even to the like illiterate.
Eric would do his best to he'd like pull a cloak over himself, and like uh, he has like one good weapon, which is a sword, which he'll like belt at his waist, but he has various knives and like little small axes and hatchets and things, which he'll like try and hide as best he can, put on a big cloak, and like cover his face.
Aubrey's already sitting up at the front of the wagon, and she's readjusting a dagger and a little knife, making sure things are tucked away nicely, and just waiting.
This does look like we're spying, says Elred, pointing out the ravens.
You wanted them.
Maybe we should leave them.
Could we find somewhere a little bit closer to leave them? And then pop back out to them if we need to later on.
I'm sure we can find somewhere outside the town.
Yes, they're such quiet birds.
Yeah. Do we all need to go in, do you think? Could maybe one or two of us stay with the birds outside, maybe have a little scout around on the outside, and then the other two go in? Would that be safe?
Might be more suspicious to have people scouting the external walls.
I think the less that we make of this, the better it goes. We just go and act like people trying to get into the town. The stranger we act, the more attention we attract.
Radio, your call. I'll lead us off then.
Elred, come sit up here.
Elred quickly checks over the harnessing on the horses and then sort of comes and sits up next to Aubrey.
Husband or brother, your choice.
Brother, my wife might get jealous if or my wife might ask some difficult questions if it comes back that you're my wife.
Your wife's a fine woman. I wouldn't want to upset her.
And having checked over the animals with his animal handling and his proficiency in land vehicles, he'll get it moving, and we'll just head towards Miller's Ford.
Yeah, Elric will walk near the front, like holding the reins of one of the horses as they or mules, I guess. Just doing that sort of like that peasant walk, like head down, not looking interesting.
I'd probably at the back then, on the back corner, just walking along, probably whistling or trying to whistle a tune.
Okay, and you get onto the path to Greyholm. As you're moving through this on this path between these trees, moving away from the camp, you know that they have kind of camped behind this hill to obscure their fires. And it doesn't take long, maybe only a short 2-hour journey to arrive at this where you can see Greyholm in the distance. As you kind of turn this bend, seeing the city, you see that it is in a very similar kind of broken down state as Miller's Ford was, not burned out or as worn by the ways of war, but definitely not on its best times. There are a couple of guards kind of at this broken down gate. You see that, and a force probably came through here before, taking it by force, breaking down the gate itself. It's kind of just shambles of what it was. They've piecemealed it together as best they can, but it's weak and brittle. The two guards kind of at the front, kind of giving you a look as you kind of come out of this forest to the south, kind of eyeing you as you approach.
I continue to keep my head down and like slump my shoulders and try not to appear like as big as I am. Like keep the hood over my head and like look down at the ground as we approach.
Yeah, the guards are kind of just eyeing you as you walk up. Go ahead and let's do a group performance check. So whoever in the group has the best performance can make a roll for the group itself at advantage, as you've taken precautions, so to say.
Could you argue deception?
I would allow deception too.
Because I have a +1 to that as opposed to a +0 to the others.
I have zeros, but I rolled a 19 and an 11.
19's pretty good.
Yep.
Okay, well, we can just count that then as the roll. You guys play the convincing part as you approach. The guards kind of just like they're somewhere between a neutral expression and a sneer as you guys approach, eyeing you as you walk up. You see that they have the symbol of House Hack kind of emblazed on their shoulder, kind of engraved almost into their armor, and they would watch you as you approach. You see these two are standing in like a military stance, professionally trained, definitely. You would pick this up easily, Elric, with your experience in the military, that these two are not just levied soldiers. They're probably house guard of some kind, or maybe personally trained for House Hack. And then look up as you approach, kind of eyeing you. Hello there.
Hello, sirs.
Where are you coming from? One of them yells as you're getting closer.
Where's close? Elric would know, but I don't.
Fair market.
Yeah.
From where?
Fair market.
Okay. And they kind of like look at each other and like nod, like okay. And they'd we need you to stop. We're gonna have to inspect your cart.
As you say, sir. And he'll like
And he
again like be looking down at the ground and like have his hood up and like trying to look unimportant.
But
Yeah,
Pa,
so one of
these
them
are all
kind
our
of.
goods.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, but Pa, these are all our goods that we've got. It's all that we brought from Fair Market.
Quiet, boy, quiet. He doesn't mean any harm, says. I'll say sort of like apologetically.
And then Ethan would turn and sulk a bit, kick a brick away from the guards.
Should listen to your father, sir. And one of them would kind of step forward, kind of like looking into the cart. They ain't got much from. And the other one kind of just shakes his head. No one's got much these days. I hope you understand that we're going to have to confiscate a small amount of your goods. It's for the noble house hack and his guard.
Confiscate? But why?
It's a levy, a tax upon the land. Everyone needs to pay his share.
But we're not from this land. We don't work this land. We pay tithe at home.
Sorry, good sir. It's just the rules that Lord Hack has submitted, has declared.
Oh, it's not bloody on, is it? He'll like mutter under his breath, and then like do this thing where he like pretends to realize what he's done. Meaning no offense, of course.
None taken, none taken. As long as there's no problems, we can just ignore that. And you kind of walk up to the side, kind of like sifting through the barrel and the bag. And he would just settle for taking the bag itself, like a half levy, basically. Pretty substantial.
He'll like scratch the back of his head and kind of like wonder at like this situation and how unfair it is. Would be safe then, I assume, if we're paying a levy here.
Of course, willing. You can stay as long as you like.
Well, my lord will hear of it, that's for sure. I'll mutter under my breath as if I feel a little brave.
Okay. One of them is the guy who's talking to you. This guy from. He's kind of like looking at you, and he kind of like leans to the side a little bit, like he's trying to get a look at your face.
Can I help you, son?
Roll me like a. Do you want to like? Are you gonna like intimidate him? Like try and get him like to stop because he's looking for something. Like he definitely something set him off.
I think intimidation is probably the wrong tack. More of like a deception. Like I'm continuing to try to be the peasant. So he's just kind of looking at him like, what's wrong?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Give me deception.
The 15. I'll look.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. So he got a 12. So I'm nothing, sir. Nothing at all. I just. No, nothing at all. Open the gate, and he kind of shouts over his shoulder. You'd see that a couple of guards on the inside of this gate would pull it open, giving you guys looks, but not suspicious looks as you guys have been cleared.
How many on the inside?
You'd see that there's another 4 at the inside of the gate.
So that's 6 total so far?
Yeah.
Are they armored the same?
These 4 on the inside, yes. One of them kind of wave at the back. Go ahead, move along.
Yeah, I'll nod and begin to like pull the mules forward and like just take note of like the way they're standing and like maybe one of them limps a little bit when he walks. And I'm like, I remember that to take out that knee before I stab him in the throat as I like move my way through the gate.
Yeah, for sure. You take in old injuries, favoring of legs, of arms. One of them has kind of like a patch over one of his eyes. So like you take into their weaknesses essentially. And you're inside now. You're standing on kind of like this cobbled road that kind of leads towards the center of town. You see kind of lining either side of this road houses, various shops and buildings. At the very far end, a courtyard kind of in the center of the town, kind of up against one side of this central yard of sorts, is a large building, kind of like somewhere between a townhouse, like a manor, and like what would we call like a town hall, almost like somewhere between the two of them. But the street is strangely barren of people. Though you see people looking out of windows at you as you enter.
Just continue, I guess, keep my head down. Occasionally I'll like look up, like feigning a sort of like sore neck and like try and get an impression for like how many people roughly are in street and like where it leads to, and get an idea for like the layout a little bit.
Yeah, you'd see maybe like a half dozen people looking out of windows. Some of the houses are just uninhabitable now. Doors haven't been broken in and windows smashed. Just it doesn't keep out the cold air anymore. So you'd see maybe like half a dozen people looking out of windows on the street itself. A quiet smithy, though it looks like in good repair, but there's nobody in there. And as you kind of would approach the center of town, there are a couple of kind of like turn-off streets that you can see head towards. Like there's like a small marketplace that is empty as well. Stalls kind of taken down, leftover crates, as well as a couple of patrols kind of moving through the town. You'd see maybe as you would move towards the center, like 3 patrols, like small squads, soldiers.
How many's in each patrol?
Like 5.
So I guess we'll like quietly and slowly make our way towards the market square, because that's what we said we were doing. So we'll like not stray too far from that, because we're probably being watched. So we'll like begin to make our way in that direction. Probably a little bit slower than we need to. But other than that, like we are going there. So if somebody's like watching us, they're like, oh, they are going to the market, like they said.
Are we keeping count here? I'd probably whisper to Aubrey and Alred.
Aubrey has a basket in her lap, and it's got like a cashews or some sort of maybe chestnuts in it, and you can see her like just marking a little tiny mark on them one at a time as she's going. Yep.
Let's get set up. He'll say quietly, set up like a little stall, and then once that's done, we can send people away to like go and get things, by which I mean like skate the walls and things like that for entrances and whatnot.
When we're there, would we look to take the mule, donkey, whatever is pulling the cart, to maybe a stable?
It's a good question. I think you can probably leave it with, if we're going to the market square, we can probably leave them where we are, like near where we set up. But I'm not too sure about like what would appropriateness say.
Well, I was thinking using that as an excuse to scout out the stables if we're taking our mule or donkey.
Great. Yep. Good call. So then we'll get to like the market square, I guess, and like start setting things up, and I'll like loudly say like, "Get the boys out of here, the donkey's out of here, boy."
Oh, Pa, I wanted to go and have a look around.
You can have a look around when you finished your chores. And he'll like slap him on the back of the head.
Yes, Pa. Yes, Pa. Shall I take Alred with me?
Yeah, I suppose so. Keep him out of trouble, Alred.
Oh, why do I have to look after him? Says Alred, but goes on after Ethan.
Come on then,
Leading
Alred.
the horses.
Let's get these
The
horses, mules moving.
Okay, perfect. So we've got Elrid and Ethan taking the mules to a stable, and we've got Elric and Aubrey setting up like a stall, essentially. Okay, so we'll do Ethan and Elrid first. Okay, so you guys take these 2 mules, moving through the town towards. You don't know where. You're just looking for somebody to ask. You would see. Do you think any of you have been here before?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, possibly. I'm from around these parts, and if this is a big market, yep.
Yeah, this is probably one of like for like the most northern part of the Riverlands, probably one of the biggest trading villages. So
Yeah, I've come for the yearly fair or something like that. A big when I've wanted to buy good stock for of mules or horse or a new horse, I'll have come up over here for that.
okay. Yeah, perfect. So you would know where the stables are. They're kind of like attached off to the side of this tavern. It's called the Broken Tankard. You know the man who owns it, good man. His name is Byrne, and he runs the place well. He runs an honest business, so you know him and where it is.
So yes, I lead Ethan there, and go round to the go round and greet Byrne, asking if there's any room in the stables, or have you got? No, actually, I'll go first to the stables and see if I can and chat with whoever's in the stables and get an just count the horses that are in there and the quality.
Yeah, perfect. So you'd see in the stable proper itself that there are about like 5 well-bred horses. Definitely not like war mounts or anything like that. Just fine horses that you think a noble would ride, or a noble and his small council. So there are like these 5 just well-bred, beautiful horses in the stable, and for the most part, it is empty. One thing you would notice as you approach is that everything else just seems dead and quiet. But this tavern is actually just, you hear loud shouting and laughter coming from it.
Is there a stable boy around?
Yeah, you'd see probably a young boy, maybe 13, 14, kind of grooming one of the horses as you come in.
Yeah, I would whistle and call him over. Hey, boy, come here, come here.
Is that
what?
Is that you,
What?
Alfred? Says Elred to the stable lad. Oh, you've grown.
Oh, Mr. Elred, it's been some time.
Ah, you've grown. How are things going?
And his face would kind of fall. Well, you can see how it's going. The autumn festival's canceled this year, obviously. Nobody has anything worth selling.
Aye. Though you don't seem to be short of people staying in the visiting the town anyway, he says, pointing at the horses.
Valamir. I mean, Lord Hack. He's occupying the town now. No doubt you saw his soldiers as you came in.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his close soldiers, his house guard, are staying inside the inn itself. And he's kind of, he'd almost say something that you'd see him kind of like stop, thinking better of it.
Maybe if the inn's taken over by Valamir and his party, there'll be no room for us. How many remind us, how many rooms, what's the capacity of the inn?
Well, usually we can house about 50. It's full up right now.
Anywhere else to stay that you know of, or have Valamir's troops taken them too?
Kind of put like a finger to his like lips, like thinking for a second.
Do I know of anywhere else to stay?
You would know that there are people in the town who know you, but the question is whether or not you want to be recognized.
I'm really thinking of the hostelries or other places that Valamir's troops would be put up. Just to ask after those places, naming them and see if they've also been taken over.
Yeah, you would know about like the Dales. There's the Bondles, the Gray Hills. A couple of these people you know who have larger houses in the town. And he would kind of list a couple of these, saying that he doesn't know if they have space capacity because he knows that the hacks have kind of stationed, have put them up there for the most part.
So just going through each one, sort of, if I've been here before, maybe I don't know exactly the capacity, but I'm just getting a rough approximation on how many I think will be staying in each one.
Yeah, you would know that some of these houses can house additionally anywhere from like not 7 to 10 more people, maybe a little bit less than that. But if they were squeezing in, probably around there. And this boy would kind of like sheepishly kind of like scrub his foot in the ground, kind of rotating back and forth. I'm sorry, sir. I can't say there's many places to stay. I mean, he had to have a third of his army stay outside the gates.
Uh-huh. Oh. Would they be the tents? There was a bit of a smell of a camp, though we didn't see it. Is that round by the north gate?
Western, actually, sir, but yes.
Western. Okay. Oh, well, maybe I'll look up one of my old, I've got a distant cousin who lives here. I'll look them up and see what they can suggest.
Of course.
I would say to Alrid as well, Alrid, it's just Mr. Alrid, it's just not fair. It hasn't been fair. They take our goods and now there's nowhere for us to sleep. Oh, it's just not fair. Trying to maybe get a trigger out of the young boy.
The boy would kind of start to nod too. They're drinking all of our good mead and ale and everything, really. And they're saying they don't have to pay for it because they're protecting the city. Pa's worried. He says that they've been levying everything everywhere. So he's afraid they're going to take him too.
Have they been taking people? Levying people?
Yes. I believe they took almost everyone out of Miller's Ford. If you came down from the south, up from the south, you would have seen it. There shouldn't have been anyone there. Just the wives and children.
Is it the Millersford levy that's camping out at the west gate, or are they? Or do you know where they're based?
Well, there weren't many of them. I believe they've been sticking together, though. I believe they're staying with the Dales.
I know somebody in the Dales family. Maybe we should head out to the Dales and see if they've got any extra room. What do you think to that, Ethan?
Well, we travelled all this way and we were sleeping outside. You know, I definitely want a nice bed to sleep in, or at least a cot to sleep in. I would take a barn at the moment. So if the Dales can provide any of these, then yeah, I'm sure Pa would like to as well.
And the boy would kind of nod. I can talk with Pa too. I assume you're looking to stable those.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, please, Alf.
You kind of nod and take the 2 mules, taking them to one of the stalls. I'll go speak with him now. I don't know if he'll charge anything, but the way I recall, he still owes you. And you kind of like slip away before you can say anything. Going inside, you'd hear the commotion as the door opens. Kind of this conjoining door. The shouts, the laughter. You'd see men out of their armor, kind of sitting and drinking, carousing, shouting, playing whatever games they can, and then the door would shut again, leaving you there. Okay, we're going to switch back over to the marketplace now with Elric and Aubrey. Okay, as you guys are setting up, getting what scant goods you have, placing them, on your stall, essentially, trying to attract some sort of customer, you'd see a small, like group of townsfolk kind of moving through. this practically empty marketplace. They kind of give you guys a look as they're passing.
Elric will be doing his best to keep his eyes down while also staring at everyone. So he's like trying to look. He's trying to look how he thinks peasants are, because he's not one, you know. So he like does a lot of like yeah, mumbling to himself and like tripping over, and like that's his impression of like small folk, is that they're like bumbling idiots, particularly in this part of the world. Like they don't work hard. So he'll do a lot of that, but he'll actually be like keeping his keen eyes like on whatever's going around and watching these people as they move through.
If you knock over one more thing on purpose.
Small folk are clumsy.
They are not. Okay, some of them are. But you don't have to be. Good grief.
What goods did we bring with us? Like, what do we have in our cart?
You'd have like a barrel of like already harvested, just like wheat, raw wheat. You'd have maybe like Aubrey said, that basket of like of nuts, essentially just harvested along the road. You'd have that small cage. Unless you left the cage outside, you guys never clarified that what you were going to do.
We
Of
would have brought it, I
ravens.
think. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you've got the small cage of ravens. You might have like a couple of like smaller barrels of like the crappy ale that like a household might have, like a farmer might have in his home.
Right.
Just the really crappy homemade stuff. And maybe a couple of other commodities and goods.
So he would just kind of like do the sort of hawker thing where he'll like call out what he has for sale and see if any of those people who are like walking by are interested.
Yeah, you'd see like there are two other small stalls here. From what Elrid might have told you on the approach to this village, this used to be like a very busy marketplace. To see how empty it is now kind of lets you know the state of things in this part of the world. But there'd be like two other small stalls. You see one of them is like a cloth merchant of some kind, making his way north. And the other one is very similar to you, just people down on their luck trying to sell whatever they could save from their farm when they left. But a couple of people would kind of like eye you, and you'd see one elderly woman kind of approach your stall, kind of like taking a look at your goods as you're kind of hawking your wares.
How are things, grandmother?
She'll kind of look up at you and smile. Never good, never good. And she'd look down. I swear, we thought the 9 penny kings were bad, and now the 5 kings are making things worse. Just brutally honest with how she's feeling about things, saying things that most people wouldn't.
Always the way. Kings fight, small folk suffer. And he'll like hand her something, like an apple or something.
And she looked down at it and kind of just gave you a smile. You see just opening up a little bit, kind of giving you a genuine response. It's the way it's always been. Where are you coming from? Is the South as bad as it is up north?
It's bad all over. We're from Fairmarket. It's no good. So, how long has this been? Last time I was here, it was bustling and busy.
It's been months now since we've had a proper market. And she kind of like look around at just the shabby appearance of it. You see that it's unkempt. Like I said, leftover boxes that kind of have rotted, having been sat out in the rain. You would see there'd be like foul odors coming from some of them as like rotted grain that's been left behind in a hurried flight. It's just grungy and dirty and empty.
Yeah, he'd nod and like look around the place. What happened to old Lord Hack? I thought he was a kind man.
He was a good man, he was, but he succumbed to the consumption. And we are left with this. And she's like about to say something, and then kind of bites her tongue. With his heir, Valamir.
And what's Vladimir like?
And she would kind of like squirm a little bit, like she's open, but you see that it might take a little bit more to convince her to speak ill of the occupying forces leader,
On the
or to
way
at
in
least be
here,
forthright.
on the way in here, they took some of our stuff. We're not even from here. We shouldn't pay a tithe to the Lord here. And they took a sack of our goods. Is that normal here?
No small amount either.
She'll kind of shake his head and like lean forward conspiratorially to like speak under her breath to you. Valamir is an indulgent wastrel. He takes and takes and takes and says that it's for our good. Always. Nonstop. His father would be disgraced at the way he's running his kingdom.
No good. It's not right, really. Someone should do something about it.
Well, somebody tried. The blacksmith. You probably saw his shop coming in. He was outspoken. Got a small group together. The way I hear it, or actually I saw it happen in the courtyard. Beat him down. Took him, threw him in the jail. Or at least locked him up somewhere. I don't know. It's too bad. Took his family too.
That's so. In the jail, you think?
He kind of just like, she just frowns, like not really certain, and she just kind of shrugs.
How awful to take someone's family.
Indeed. And she just shakes her head. How long will you be staying with us? How long will you be in the town?
Oh, not long. We'll just try and sell a few things here and then be moving along.
And she would just kind of nod sagely to this. Everyone's got to do what's best for them. Well, if you're looking for somewhere to stay, I'm an old widower. I have no one at home. So, I'm not widower, widow. She basically offers, if you need somewhere, we can arrange something.
It's very kind. I appreciate that. It's good to know that there are kind people in this town. It's been a less than warm welcome.
She looks like she's about to say something else, and then she sees something over your shoulder and goes quiet.
Yeah, he'll nod without looking over his shoulder, but like assuming, and say, "Perhaps we'll speak later."
That'd be nice. I'd appreciate that. And she'd kind of look at the apple you gave her and smile. She'd put a couple just spare change coins on the table in front of you, making out some sort of a deal for some grain, and then kind of make her way off. You would hear the footsteps behind you as she moved away, the sound of metal on stone, and you'd see a patrol kind of making their way through the marketplace. They'd eye you as they made their way past, kind of looking at your goods, a new face in the marketplace itself. Hello there. Haven't seen you around here before.
No, indeed. Just passing through, trying to, well, surprised actually. It used to be very busy here, but it seems quite quiet now.
Yes, it's really a shame. And he'd kind of walk forward, kind of looking at your goods on the table. You immediately recognize this kind of man as one of the types among soldiers, the bully who gets too high and no idea on himself, as he's kind of like definitely giving you the sneer, thinking you just simple folk. He'd kind of look through your items and pick up an apple and kind of like rub it off on his shoulder, and without preamble, just take a bite out of it.
good stuff. We bring fresh apples from the road. It'll only be a copper piece, sir.
And he'd kind of just like smile and look back at the 4 guards behind him. Only a copper piece. We're keeping you safe.
It appears like theft to me. And he'll hold the gaze for a little bit longer than he should, but then like sort of like smile.
I think it's just that we did pay the tax upon entrance.
And we don't even live here.
Please, it's only a copper to you, but it means more to us.
And he'd kind of like look at you, almost seeing you for the first time, and look back over at Elric. And the sneer kind of returns to his face. A copper. I ain't paying more than an iron. Sorry. These apples, and he kind of looks them over. It's a little bruised, too.
Elric will like take a deep breath and then nod. An iron is fine.
And you kind of reach out and just like kind of drop like 2 of them onto the table in front of you. Kind of giving you a wink.
Are you the captain of the guard here? What's your name, sir?
And he'd kind of just he'd laugh looking back at the men behind him. No, I'm no captain, sir. Just the leader of this patrol.
Ah, I see. And your name?
Lewin.
I'll remember. He'll say with like this polite smile. Though if you like looked a little bit closer, you would see it's not so polite.
Yeah, and he'd kind of like he'd double take, like look at you. You'll remember. And he'd kind of like reach out towards another apple.
Like Elric's a big man. He's Ironborn, and so like he's been hunched over and he's been like working quietly. But as he like reaches for another one, he'll just like stand up and like put his shoulders back and give a look. You haven't finished your apple yet, sir. You need another?
He'd be taken aback at this. Just saying, because I mean, like you said, you've been playing the hunch peasant for the entirety of your arrival, and he'd see you just stand up to your full height. I'm like, he'd kind of like take a step back. How tall is Elric?
Nothing like unusual. He's just like, I guess, like taller than the average man, but not like freakish or anything, you know. But just like think it would be the change from hunch to like full height that would be noticeable. He's, I don't know, like slightly above average height.
Okay, yeah, so you're about the same height as Lewin, and so as you kind of pull yourself to your full height, back your shoulders coming back, you would kind of like take a step back away from you, kind of like surprised. Let's see how much bravado this dude has. This is the kind of guy who's a bully, but when confronted, he shows his colors, and he kind of would like. You see that he'd deflate a little bit, his ego kind of seeping out of him. His hand would withdraw too. And might I ask your name, sir?
Willem is my name.
We'll be seeing you again, Willem. And you kind of like step away, look into the other soldiers and start to leave.
Apples, get your apples, 1 copper. He'll just begin like calling out to people.
Yeah, you'd see like a kid like pull on his like mother's like dress. She'd give him like a single copper piece. He'd come over and buy an apple and give you a smile before running back to her. And like the rest of the day kind of passes without incident. No other guards kind of take notice of you. Nobody makes any moves. What else would you guys like to do during this time here? in the marketplace. Is there anything else you're trying to do? Anything you're looking for?
So I would encourage Aubrey to go to the jail if that's possible, or to the Smith, and like have a look around. I don't know if the jail is like in the castle necessarily as a dungeon. If that's the case, it's like way too dangerous. But if there's like a local, I don't know, building or whatever they keep people in, then it would maybe be worth talking to that Smith. Because there might already be a sort of underground movement here anyway that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, for sure. So there isn't necessarily a jail. It's kind of like a because this isn't like a town that has like its own keep. Um, it would be kind of more like they're locked up somewhere. Maybe like under guard. That would be a better way of putting it.
Right. Okay.
The inn cellar, maybe.
Yeah, sure, that would work for sure. That would make most sense too, since Valamir's staying there. So yeah.
And does the inn have like I presume a nice area for everyone to drink at and everything?
Yeah, there's like a central area where people carouse, and it's kind of like in front of the bar, etc.
Yeah, I'd like to at least get a sense of how often the shift goes in and out, and if people go in and drink when they're done with their guard shift. Just walk by it every so often and do a kind of head count through a window, as it were.
Yeah, for sure. You'd see there's kind of like a steady flow to and from. Maybe at any one given point, carousing and drinking and chatting in this kind of central area at the bottom of the tavern. Maybe like 20 people, maybe less, like give or take, like 5 at any given moment.
And does it all seem to be like the soldiers and the guards?
Yeah, for the most part, it looks like they've kind of taken over this establishment for themselves. You see the barkeep kind of, or the tavern owner, I guess, kind of like working from behind the bar, kind of giving. You see these half smiles. Though that means he kind of just wishes they weren't there, but he's kind of doing the best he can to avoid the storm. Um, and you could see somebody who I kind of imagine probably to be his wife, his son, kind of coming in and out of the stable. It's like besides the people who are there aren't really having any townsfolk besides like the barkeeper and his family.
And one more question: does the door open outward or inward?
The door, it opens outward.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, as you kind of like are going about your various kind of duties, like taking care of the market, listening for rumors, going and checking on the tavern and other places. We're gonna go ahead and switch back over to Aelred and Ethan then. As you guys are gonna said you're gonna make your way to where the Dales.
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Calling in on the Dales, who are either distant kin of mine or some kind of contact that I've had before. I'll ask them how it's going and how many are staying at their place, and knowing I can trust the Dales, I ask them how many people are put up round the town.
So this man that let's go ahead and call him Cedric. This man Cedric Dale, would kind of like you guys would be chatting with him. He would have invited you in. They provided what small food they can, seeing as you know them. Well, I don't know. Maybe I know that the majority are staying in the tavern. A couple of us have been assigned, and he kind of just gives this exasperated sigh. Other soldiers to put up. I'd say maybe staying in the town itself, 80, maybe 90.
I heard tell that the people who you're putting up a levy from Miller's Ford, and I'm not sure how enthusiastic supporters of the regime they are.
And he'd kind of like lean forward. Aye, they're staying here, and as it is, no one's happy to be levied. But they've been promised, as long as they fight well in their army, their wives and children will be protected back home.
Where are they?
Oh, a couple of them are upstairs, staying in the extra room. A couple out on patrol.
Can I? I'll go up and fill up their water jugs and take away their night soil. Can I take the bucket?
And you kind of just nod. Yes, be my guest for sure.
So I go up and knock on their door and head in.
Yeah, you'd see kind of like there are like 5 men kind of sitting together chatting. You see that they don't have the bearing of soldiers, obviously marking them as levies. They don't carry themselves the same way. You see that their armor and weapons aren't clean like they should be. Their postures are just lacking, and there are varying ages from boys as young as 16 to men as old as 30s, 40s.
Yeah. Is that the accent of Miller's Ford that I hear? I was passing through there the other day, but didn't see anybody there.
One of them would look up and kind of give you this look, and then smile and nod. Aye, it is.
What's happened to your village?
And then one of them, he'd kind of frown. What do you mean?
It was a burnt-out wreck when we came through it the other day.
And he'd kind of like smile like you're playing a joke on him, and then like seeing that you're completely serious and that doesn't change. You're lying.
No, and I'll describe it accurately, what I saw, the smell of the burnt-out village, etc.
The 5 would immediately stand to their feet, looking at you with mixed expressions of horror, of grief, of anger. You see the oldest one kind of like look back at the other 4. I'm going to have a word with Valamir. And he kind of starts walking past you.
A moment, friend. Valamir is in the inn with vast numbers of loyal supporters, and words spoken in anger may lead you nowhere. You'll be outnumbered and outforced, but you've been levied into his troops, I believe. Is that correct?
I, us, and many others.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's happened to the others' villages, but if Lord Valamir is looking after them as well as he looked after yours, well, I wouldn't be willing to lay down my life for him. There may be an opportunity. An opportunity may arise soon to take your revenge on Lord Valamir, or to find out what's happening. But I'd like you to speak with the other levies and see where they stand. Some of my companions are going to make some fairly direct complaints to Lord Valamir and his loyal supporters, and if you and the other levies do not get involved or take our side, then maybe justice will be done.
And you're kind of like taking all these things you're saying, listening, kind of calculating. You see that one of the 16-year-old boy, the youngest, has kind of fallen onto one of the beds, and he's kind of like sitting there with his head in his hands, whispering, kind of like things to himself. You see he's crying also. The other three men are kind of looking at you, listening to this. You see two of them are nodding along. One of them is kind of just like has a frown on his face. He's uncertain. And this man you're talking to, you see him kind of like listening to what you're saying and hearing it, but he's kind of realizing what you're suggesting. What is it you're trying to say? What do you mean an opportunity?
There are people who've suffered under Lord Valamir's. Lord Valamir's is taking taxes far up and over and above the law, what the law allows him. He has made himself a criminal, and we will bring him to justice. I ask that you and the other levies stay out of the way, and that you also inform us how many of you are levies and how many are loyal to Valamir. We need numbers.
Roll me a persuasion check on this gentleman at advantage. The news of what happened at Miller's Ford is pretty helpful for you.
I think, unfortunately, I would have stayed downstairs or in the other room with the first gentleman, because I don't know anyone from Miller's Ford, so I wouldn't have actually been there. I would have been trying to continue the conversation with with Cedric.
Okay.
I get a 19 on my persuasion at advantage.
Okay. He would slowly nod to this. Listen. A third of Valamir's forces are levies. I don't know what the others will do, but as for me and mine, and you kind of look back at the other four behind him, kind of looking at him expectantly. You tell that he obviously speaks for them to a great degree. I'll speak with the other five when they come back from patrol. But whatever this opportunity is, if you really mean to seek justice upon Valamir, we're with you.
Are you ever responsible for manning the gates of Greyholm, or are you responsible for checking who comes in or out of the gates?
Roll me a luck die. D8.
Let's see. I get a 7.
Okay, that's on the luckier side of things. Okay, he nods. It's our turn to watch the gate just before sundown tonight.
Then, which gate?
We've been assigned to the eastern gate.
Right. The greatest help you can be is to not see us coming and allow us in last minute, and then join us as we seek to bring justice to Valamir and Greyholm.
He nods. I know where a couple of the other levies are staying. Should I speak with them or take you to them?
If you know them and trust them, here, I'm gonna slightly cheat this. He takes the bone that he uncovered in Miller's Ford and hands it the scorched bone that he pulled out of the earth, and hands it over. That's something I took from your town. If you show them this, and as a symbol of what Valamir is doing to the villages around here, then maybe you can drum up some support. But be careful. Be careful who you speak to.
as you hand him the bone, you'd see disgust and then sadness and then understanding, kind of pass over his face, and he'd slowly nod, wrapping it almost like a, because he doesn't know who it belongs to in like a sad reverence up in like some like blankets and rags, and just nod. I'll see what I can do.
When what time are you in charge of the East Gate? I'll get the hours that they are in charge of the East Gate, and so I can take that news back to Anghei, and then wish him well, and head downstairs to pick up to see what Ethan is up to.
Okay, so we're gonna continue the conversation downstairs real quick with Ethan and Cedric. Cedric would watch you go up the stairs, Elrid, and then look back over at you, Ethan. What's your name, boy? I don't know you.
Oh, I'm just traveling with my pa and Elrid here. Yeah, we just came to do some business in the square. Yeah, we found some what looked like maester's birds on the road. Is there a maester in town?
I'm afraid not. The same sickness that took Lord Hack, Valamir's father, it took the maester too.
That's not really helpful if he's the one that's supposed to be fixing everybody up.
The town's low on food. I'm sure you could find somebody to sell them to. Not much meat, but meat.
Yeah, I'll suggest it to me, pa. Yeah. There certainly seems like everybody is quite hungry. Do they take everybody's? They took a bag of goods as we came into the town.
Valamir is taxing everyone and everything. Everything from something as simple as lye soap. Everything.
It's just not fair. It's just not lordly.
Be careful, boy. If you were saying that in front of anyone else.
I know. My pa would wring my ear for me.
Someone else might wring your neck.
Well, I'm sorry.
But many people feel the same way as you do, my boy.
They do.
Well, I don't know how recently you arrived, but the blacksmith, he tried to gather a group of them together. They took them all, beat them quite soundly. Don't know what's happening to them now, where they are. But the way I see it, that act, what he did to the blacksmith, well, it was, as you said, very unlordly.
Oh, I dread to think. I dread to think, sir. And then, yeah, I'd probably just wait by the door for Elrid to come down.
Yeah, Elrid comes down the stairs after briefly going up and talking.
Well, Cedric, Dale, thank you. Good to see you again, and we'll be catching up with you later. But you know how it is. We've got lots of work to do down in the market square. We better be back before we get told off for lazing around.
Yeah, you know what my pa's like. Thank you, sir. I'll be sure to keep my opinions a little bit more to myself from now on.
And you kind of just nod and look at you, Elrid, and kind of give you this look, like keep an eye on the boy, like he said a little bit much.
He nods and says to Cedric, be ready to defend your family if trouble breaks out.
Yeah, Cedric would kind of frown and slowly nod at this, and kind of give you guys a smile as you went out the door. Take care of yourselves.
And you. And we'll head back to the market square.
Okay. We're going to swap back. Well, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Let's do a 6-minute break, 5-minute break. Go to the bathroom, get a drink, do what you need to. Be back here in 5.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Cool.
Good.
Like,
I can imagine your character is finding it difficult to act in the present.
I don't think I've ever struggled so hard not to just stab a man in the face. Good God.
I
love it.
I put in the messenger chat that that guard is literally Janos Slint.
Oh, big time. Yeah, just like such a bully.
Dude, Janos Slint, man, was such a dude, that character is just
It's
the
fantastic.
worst.
Like one of the real strengths of Game of Thrones is like that the bad people are so believable, you know? Like,
Yeah.
because often you can get like very sort of two-dimensional villains, but I feel like the bad guys in Game of Thrones are all very believable, all very like relatable in some way.
Definitely.
Dude, receiving the having you guys compare that guy to Janos Slint, that makes me feel good in a weird way. Making somebody so deplorable. Perfect.
Yeah.
At least we know where to find him when the battle goes down. He'll be with the women and children.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that part in the freaking TV series. Oh man. Or it reminds me of the oh man, what's that character from have you guys seen the all the most recently made Hobbits?
Yeah.
The one dude who like hides with the women. No, wait, that's from Lord of the Rings actually.
You know, it's a nighttime. I know what you mean. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's one
yeah.
in both. There's one in both, isn't there? It's Wormtongue in Lord of the
Oh,
Rings.
and then the mayor's
Yeah.
assistant dude. Yeah, that's right.
So I have one more idea before we get into the
The
actual
actual
killing, I
battle.
think. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think I should have put that more of a disclaimer that it was kind of like a setup to a battle. So
Yeah.
sorry about the setup expectations. Probably said a little bit
No, that's
wrong.
all. I mean, I totally get it. I mean, the Brotherhood of the Banners can't just besiege a town. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yep.
But yeah, I have
Yeah,
one more thought or idea.
okay. I was kind of going with the idea from the books. I don't know if you guys have read them, but like how they always send out like Lem and like a couple of other people like to like scout places out before they do anything.
Right.
Kind of what I was going for.
Yeah, you have to, I guess. You know.
Yeah. Especially because, like you said, like they're so limited. Like
Yeah.
one bad battle is the end of the Brotherhood.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
And they
that's what
can't
happened.
even really fight battles, right? Like they have to fight skirmishes and things like that.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what happened to them in the first place, wasn't it? They got ambushed at the Mummer's Ford by the mountain because they weren't out scouting, and then
Yeah.
and now if ever they get themselves into one place, then they'll just get smashed, and they can't afford that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, half the Brotherhood without banners don't know where the other half is. They have
Yeah.
to go looking for Beric. They have to go like village to village, town to town, looking for Beric themselves.
So it means if anyone gets captured, they can't give anything away. You know.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Did I see that is Taylor back? Or did you say that before we left?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. Perfect. All right. I like to do this at the middle point. Go ahead and introduce your character, and if you have something you want to plug, a channel, something like a product or something, I don't know, whatever you want. We'll go ahead and start with Caius. Just introduce your character, plug whatever you want to, and then move on. We'll end with Taylor.
So, Elred of East Mulksford is small folk farmer who heavy taxation has ruined him. So he headed off when the soldiers came to sort of take his stuff. He headed off and joined the Brotherhood without banners, and has been fighting with them ever since. And I don't have anything to plug. Just enjoying the game.
Okay, perfect. Lloyd.
Yeah, playing Elric, Black Pike, bastard son of House Cod. Love it. It's gross and gritty, and I hate all the people I've spoken to, so it feels like Westeros. Very fun.
Awesome. Going on to Kevin.
Yeah, my character's Ethan Snow, bastard from the Wolfswood in the north. he was employed by Lord Eddard as one of his household guards. Rode safe with him when he became Hand of the King. Then when Eddard sent Beric off to arrest the mountain, he sent 20 of his own household guard with him. I was one of them. I feel I messed up at the Mummer's Ford, and since feel like I owe Beric. So I've just been following Beric around and the Brotherhood Without Banners. Doing whatever the Lord of Light, I guess, wants for us.
Okay, awesome. Taylor.
I'm Taylor. I'm playing Aubrey Carpenter, who holds no love for House Hack or any of its men, and has been with the Brotherhood for, I'd guess, like 2 to 3 years now.
All right, awesome. And as always, obviously, if you're watching this is my channel, I'm Tyler. Channel on a roll, ROLE, like role play. But let's go ahead and get right back into it. We'll go ahead and start off then with Aubrey and Elric. Aubrey, you've been checking in with the tavern from time to time, like you said. Did you ever go to the blacksmith or anywhere, or were you just going over to the tavern?
Absolutely, I'd have gone by the blacksmith.
Okay. Yeah, you see that at first glance when you got here, it looked like everything was normal, but once you step inside, you can see that the place is barren. Everything of any use has been taken. You see like the walls that might have held like weapons and other things that they would have been trying to sell. Probably nothing special, as it is still just a village. It's not like a lord's blacksmith. But everything's been taken. Axes, daggers, everything. And just everything of worth too. Even like from to the smallest implement has been taken from this home, stripped clean. Doors have been busted down. You see that there is sign of some sort of a struggle that happened from the dried out blood on the floor. But this place has been stripped clean.
Is there anyone about, or is it given a pretty wide berth by people?
It's given a wide berth. You assume because it's probably viewed as like not necessarily a taboo, but like if you go there, you might be seen as like a sympathizer against the rule of House Hack. So people kind of like when they walk past it, they kind of like go around it like there's like a circle that you don't want to enter. But nobody bats an eye at you like approaching. You've recently arrived today, so it's obvious you're curious.
And just as I'm going about between like the blacksmith and the inn and back over towards what serves as the market square, are there any archers that are set up from vantage points on walls or in buildings, or do they seem pretty comfortable here and like they're not worried about anything?
As you're kind of glancing about, you're checking the wall as you're walking between this area. These areas, you're checking different houses where they look like vantage points for you. You've got the eye of an archer, regardless. You would see that there are a few lookouts, maybe like 2 or 3, kind of watching the surrounding countryside, and there are a few on the wall as well. It's definitely not heavily guarded because most of the battles now are happening in the north. So they don't seem super, how would I put this, concerned with what is happening to the south. Seeing as Walter Frey has control for the most part now of the Riverlands.
Yeah, Aubrey will for sure make a note of that. And just she's been mentally kind of tracking the guard shifts and how many patrols are going through the market when she's there, and she's sure Elric is as well.
Okay, Elric, what are you doing?
So he's going to once like Aubrey comes back or whatever, he'll tell her to like watch the stall for a while, and then he'll like wander through some of the alleyways, and in that process he'll like take off the cloak that he has and like grab one from a nearby like clothesline and put that on instead, and then like as he like walks down this alleyway, he'll like stand up a little straighter and he'll like bring his sword out so it's visible, and he's going to like try and get towards the inn where the Lord is, and like approach it pretty openly with the look of a sellsword.
Okay. Yeah, you make your steady progress towards the tavern front, kind of pulling out your weapons, making them a little bit more visible. And as you approach, you'd see kind of people looking at you through the window. And the carousal doesn't go quiet because not everybody's noticed you, obviously. But like you'd see people kind of like start to talk to each other rather than like laughter. You see heads, like a couple people turn and look at you, but then they just like kind of absentmindedly just look away, like, oh, like it's another sellsword. Obviously, Lord Hack has been hiring them on, so they don't think anything else of it. And you can enter very easily.
Yeah, my hope would be to speak to him directly, but if I can't do that, like to whoever the captain of whoever's in charge of like hiring people, and I'll walk in and just like from my bearing, which I imagine like that Elric is very good at, just like exude threat. It's like basically his career is exuding threat, so he'll just walk in and like roll his shoulders back and like maybe spit on the ground and like wait for someone to approach.
You'd see a couple of men kind of at one of these tables throwing, I mean, I guess what would a game be like, knucklebones or something? I don't know. Kind of like playing these games with each other, kind of just like chatting. And they'd kind of like tap one of the guys on the shoulder and like kind of like nod towards you. And he'd kind of turn and look at you and like sigh and stand to his feet before walking over. Can I help you? And he has the kind of the bearing of somebody who is at least like mildly in charge. Not necessarily a captain of the guard or one of the captains of his house guard, but somebody maybe like a low-ranking officer of some kind.
Yeah. Looks like you want to hire some sellswords around here. You want to talk to the Lord.
And you kind of like look at you, give you this like questioning look. I can see if he's available, but the Lord doesn't generally do that. Well, maybe. And he kind of like shrugs. Well, give me a moment. Stay here. And you kind of walk off into the back and head up the stairs.
Yeah, in the meantime, Elric would like sit at a table where they were playing a game and like deal himself in and start just like muscling his way into the game.
Yeah, I imagine you take this dude's chair as he leaves. Yeah, so you can sit down and start getting comfortable. Roll me a luck die, D8.
Yes, sir. 4.
Okay, so that's not lucky. That's nor unlucky. But what you would get with a 4 is that you just hear that like the soldiers kind of grumble about how the villagers treat them. Basically, like stuff like refusals for the tax, and they had to be forced to take it instead, and how people throw stuff at them sometimes, and you get like a sense that like maybe things aren't as complacent here as they seem. But eventually,
would like lead those kind of conversations with like, you don't put up with that shit, do you? Like, you wouldn't like. Obviously, you punish them if they like talk to you that way or look at you in the wrong way. You've got fucking weapons and they're small folk. He'd like try and get this like build this persona pretty quickly of like just like a scumbag, just like the worst kind of scumbag is who he's trying to be, which is not far off his actual sort of life.
Yeah, for sure. These guys, these soldiers, easily they just accept you like almost immediately, and they're like, yeah, like I know, right? Like totally. And they're saying like the Lord Hack lets them like basically they're allowed to punish like somebody like maybe like once a week just so people don't rise up and riot. So it doesn't look like it's happening too often. But essentially like they start to like they deal you in for real now. Like they're talking to you like pretty openly. So you fit in pretty quickly. A short time later, down the stairs, this like sergeant essentially comes, and he would be behind him. Following him is not Valamir, but somebody looking a lot more regal than this guy, at least. So probably the marshal or the captain of the guard. He'd be leading him over to your table and kind of like step back once he reaches you.
Yeah, I'll stand to be respectful.
He kind of would like look you up and down and then look at the men who have been openly chatting with you. What is your experience?
Fucking raids up and down the entire western side of Westeros. We've raided up at Flint's Finger, all the way down near Old Town, way up into the north where the wildlings are.
And how much are you asking?
Enough to get by. This sort of time, very hard for a man of my skills to get paid the amount that he's required, but it's also, there's no shortage of work for men of my skills.
Well, we are looking for good swords, and he'd kind of like look you up and down. We could use someone with your experience. We don't have the vast funds that many might, but we are willing to provide food and shelter, as well as perhaps not quite the payment you're looking for, but most of it.
Strikes me as odd that, you know, he'll like scratch the back of his head. I think you've been taking off every person around here now. I've seen several people get stopped on the way in and tithes being taken. I would have thought you'd be fucking loaded.
Lord Valamir wishes to play the long game. We have supplies and items. That's where your food and payment and shelter comes in. But winter is coming.
He'd like sneer at that phrase, like trying not to laugh in the man's face and nod. Yeah, okay. You got an armory?
We have, yes, we do. And he'd kind of nod. And he'd kind of look to the sergeant next to him. Show the man his bunk, get him real equipped with good gear, and put him on the next patrol. Show him the town.
Excellent. And he'll put out his hand to shake it.
And the captain would kind of look down at your hand and look at you, and like you see that he finds you disgusting. He hates. Most people hate Ironborn. But so he would like look at you and with like contempt take your hand.
While I'm Saltcliffe, he'll give another fake name and shake the hand.
He would nod. Captain Garrett, please feel free to follow. My goodness, I'm terrible with names. Gelther here. It's so hard to come with him on the spot, man. It kills me.
I know, it's killer. He'll smile and show like a bunch of missing teeth, and those who aren't missing are black. And then he'll like squeeze the captain's hand and follow this other guy.
Yeah, Gelther would kind of take you back into the inn, leading you upstairs to the first floor and back to one of these rooms. You'd see that he kind of pulled the door open, and the room is kind of just like it's got all their surplus equipment in it, essentially. You would see weapons, halberds, swords, axes, chainmail, like a good variety of weapons and equipment.
And it's in the inn? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like on the first floor of the inn, essentially, like hidden up in this back room.
Okay. Yeah, he'll take note of it and like have a look around and like wander in and help himself to like a nicer suit of chainmail since he's here. His own is like rusted and in bits. And so just as the man watches, he'll just make the assumption that he's allowed and like take off his own old chain and like throw it onto the ground. And like reach for this new one, put it on, and then like start looking around for hatchets and knives and things that he can like acquire.
Yeah, so you could suit up to it like an extent. Obviously, you're not able to like carry out the entire armory. He'd stop you at a certain point. Yeah, but
he's just making a point as well. It's like a sort of dominance sort of thing where he just comes in and just decides to do things, you know. So he just like helps himself to stuff, even though he doesn't need it. He's well equipped anyway, and he'll like make a bit of a mess and like take note of roughly how much stuff is in here, and then also if you were on the outside of the inn, what window it would be to get in there.
Yeah, so this guy Gilfell, he'd kind of just like wait for a little bit, like kind of let you suit up. He's definitely not necessarily the coward, but he doesn't seem to act without proper instructions. So he was not told how much to let you take, so he just lets you kind of like take what he thinks is proper.
They don't lock the place, GoT?
And he'd kind of look at you like that's an odd question, and he'd say, "Well,
all the keeps I've been in, armory is under lock and key, guarded at all times, and we just walked in here."
And you see him kind of like he gets kind of flabbergasted at this. He didn't really think about it, but he kind of comes to the same realization that you have basically just pointed out, that like they have been done a very piss poor job of keeping this under lock and key, keeping it protected. I'll talk with the captain about it.
Listen, I've got experience. I was a Castellan once. Well, Castellan is generous. It was a shithole in the middle of a deep wood, but nonetheless, I know my way around an armory. If you need somebody to watch the place and take inventory, I can do that.
Roll me persuasion.
Yeah, 19. That's a 19 total.
See, that's disgusting. I nat one. This dude's a filthy imbecile. He just kind of like, he's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Like, I'll put in a word for the captain for you.
Yeah, he'll nod and then say, right, let's show me the patrol route.
Okay, and he'd kind of like, he'd pull you out of this place, close it behind you. You would see he doesn't lock it because he doesn't have a key. But he'd kind of like lead you downstairs after you're equipped and take you to this table where you've already kind of like met the people and you've gotten like to know them. And he'd say, this is your patrol group. They'll be showing you around. And he'd kind of like nod to you and then step aside with the captain. They'd talk briefly, and the captain would kind of like, you see him like almost like backhand him, but he like cuffs him on the back of the head, like he's spoken out of turn. This captain is a prideful man, obviously. But he would kind of like nod after a second and then like call somebody from the table who kind of like groans and stands to his feet and goes up to guard the armory.
I'll take a note of who it is. I probably would have gotten his name when we were sitting around playing the game, and I'll take a note of like who he is and remember his face.
Yeah, for sure. His name is Riker, and he's this he's like a thin, reedy, tall man. Has the bearing of a soldier, but a novice one. Obviously, the bottom of the totem pole. Yeah, so this patrol group would kind of take you out, show you the ropes, essentially the patrols, where you're supposed to go, how long you're supposed to be out before you rotate, and they would kind of just assume that you're part of their group now. So they say we've got wall duty at this time every night, essentially. Like we have the night patrol on the wall.
Yeah, he'd nod and listen, and he'd really be looking particularly at the places in between patrols where they're not looking. So we're going to a wall and we stand there for a while. We go to somewhere else and we stand there for a while. But in the in-betweens, when we're walking, like they're not going to be as aware. So he's looking for those places, like for potential ways that they could get in.
Yeah, for sure. One thing you'd also notice as you're patrolling the walls with this group is that there is a small camp of about 50 soldiers outside the wall. You see that they have horses. You would assume that this is the cavalry.
Yeah. He'd note that as well. He'd even ask, "Oh, are these the big lads living outside with their horses?"
And they'd kind of like shrug and like there'd be some ribald comment or a joke or something, but like they would generally give you kind of like the affirmative that this is the trained cavalry. These are the people who, they're expected to do the first charge essentially before the first combat. But yeah, they'd say that it's like the 50 cavalry that Lord Hack brought with him to the towns essentially.
Yeah, he'd nod, continue listening, and like follow and keep his eyes open.
Yeah, so now that you're on this kind of the side of the town, the western side of the town, you can see that there's like this the river, the Trident, kind of comes down along here, kind of backing the west side, protecting it essentially. That's why there aren't as many guards on the west side, just this cavalry group. You would see the majority of the soldiers are actually kind of like stationed towards the north, as that's where the main conflict is taking place right now.
He would think about going out, or like how you would approach the cavalry camp. Now that he's like one of them, I guess he has a certain color cloak and maybe like whatever else. So he like looks in a certain. He looks like a guardsman or whatever, and he would like think about how to approach that cavalry camp without like getting murderized. But he would just keep his eyes open.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, they show you the ropes, they show you the patrol patterns, and they kind of take you around the city, doing all these things with you. There would be a couple moments while you're on patrol that you wouldn't see where it came from, but from overhead, like somebody would tip a bucket into the street, maybe just barely missing you. You can't. I mean, like it's difficult to tell where, but sometimes like the soldiers like notice it, and, like yell up at the person, like threatening comments. They don't really ever. Sometimes they do something about it. Sometimes they'll shout up, or they'll like force a door open and drag the person out who's responsible. But for the most part, it's kind of just like they haven't like accepted it, but they know that if they do much more, they're gonna have a riot on their hands.
Yeah, you get a feeling for like the fomenting rebellion here, and like he would note more that probably than even the guards, like where they're coming from. So what windows, like what buildings and stuff like that, to keep that in mind to like inform the other guys when he meets them later.
Okay. Eventually, after kind of being out on your patrol, for like the past, like maybe like each patrol is like an hour long, I guess. You'd find yourself back at the tavern. They'd start like playing cards and dealing you in. It's like you have basically some free time until the next patrol.
And he knows he should go and talk to his companions, but he also knows it's important to like maintain the sense. So he would like spend some time playing games with them and whatnot. And he wouldn't really be drinking, but he would like make a show of drinking a lot. So even though he's only drinking every like third or fourth drink, every time he does, he'll like go cheers, and like so people think that he's drinking a lot. This is like something he learned way back in the Iron Islands. And then eventually he'll like act pissed and like stand and say, "Oh fucking," and he'll wander outside for a piss and then try and escape.
Okay. So as you kind of step outside, moving in the direction of a private place to go to the bathroom, or even an open place, depending how proud Elric is, one of the men would kind of get up from the table and kind of come with you. He would go in a different direction, obviously, but you know that he is at least out here too, at least keeping not necessarily a tab, but he's aware.
Sure. I'll like go and take a big piss against the wall down an alleyway. I want to try and go down a quiet alleyway. Like I'll walk a little bit as if I'm trying to like get some air, and then I'll walk down an alleyway and like lean against the wall for a minute and see if he follows.
Okay. Roll me perception.
14.
Okay. You would hear, because you wouldn't see him, you'd hear the scuff of the boots at the other end of the alley stop, and you know somebody has tailed you and is like standing on the outside of the alleyway on one of the sides.
Yeah, so he'll like note that, and he'll begin like trying to undo his britches and like swearing under his breath like he can't figure it out because he's pissed. Fucking come on, fuck's sake. And then he'll start like singing some Ironborn song like under his breath.
Yeah, there's no movement, it's just quiet. And once you finish, you haven't heard him move off, but you're not sure if he's still there or not.
He'll like once he's finished, he'll like lean his forehead against the wall as a very drunk person might, and just like stand there for a while and wait. And then eventually he'll like get ready to go again. But before he does, he'll like look in each direction to the end of the alley to see if there's anybody there.
So on the end you came through, you don't see anyone. At the other end, you see people kind of like moving past it. Just townsfolk and a patrol.
Yeah, he'll go out the not the direction he came from, but the other way, where the people are. He'll like walk in that direction pretty slowly. He'll like do this sort of fake trip thing and fall over and like, oh fuck, Jesus, trying to get it together and like try and stand up again.
Yeah. So as you kind of like essentially false start and fall over, you see somebody kind of turning around the corner to tail you. But then they like almost stop immediately once they see that you've fallen in the center of the alley, and they kind of like duck back around the corner. This dude has no idea how to tail people.
No, clearly not. He'll like rise and he'll like make some footstep noises, but then like duck behind one of the like corners in this little alleyway, like one of the doorways that would lead into a building, and just wait there.
Yeah, perfect. You hear movement and then running feet because he thinks you've gotten away. Yeah, this guy's daft. He's an idiot. You just hear him cursing on his breath. Just like, damn it, the captain's gonna kill me. And he kind of like runs towards you. Hear his footsteps getting closer.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop out and like basically clothesline him, like stick out my hand so he runs into it and smash him down to the ground. And the second that I've done so, drag him into the doorway.
Okay. Go ahead and just give me like I guess an unarmed to basically hit and trip him. I'll have him roll a dex save against it. Oh god, dude, my dice suck tonight.
I got 21.
Oh yeah, I got a 7. You smash him.
Yeah, so he'll smash him and like bring him into the doorway, and quick as anything, he'll like pull a knife from his boot and press it against the guy's like the tip of it against the bottom of his chin. Following
yeah,
me.
the dude starts to splutter. He's like,
"You will be absolutely silent, or I will gut you." You understand me?
And he just slowly nods.
Why are you following me?
Captain Garrett said that there was something off about you. He didn't buy the story. He said why he doesn't understand why Ironborn would be all the way down here by himself. It just didn't make sense.
I see. What's your name, boy? You want to live?
Of course, I want to live, sir. My name's Edmund.
Do you doubt for a second, Edmund, that if you go back there and tell him what happened, that I will not find you and cut your balls off?
His face just goes pale. This dude is like 20 years old. He might not be considered a boy anymore, but he's still a boy in your eyes. He does not have very much experience, obviously, and he just like nods. I believe you, sir.
It's good that you believe me, because there is no power on this earth or all of your 7 gods that could stop me. That if you go back there and tell the captain what you've seen, that I will not find you, and I will cut your balls off and feed them to you. So here's what you're going to do instead, Edmund, because I think you want to live. Back there, tell him that I went for a piss, that I fell over in the alleyway, and that I slumber there still. What are you going to tell him?
That you went for a piss, you fell and hit your head in the alleyway, and you slumber there still.
Very good. Is this what you wanted to do with your life, Edmund? You wanted to bully small folk?
No, sir. And he kind of like looks down. I thought that war would be more noble than this.
Yeah, you're a child, Edmund. Listen, it doesn't have to be this way. There are other options for men like you, men who want to fight and want to see something noble in war. I think that you are harmless, and I think that you mean well, and I think that you've been bullied into this position. And so I'm not going to bully you anymore. You can do whatever you want, but know that there are other options. And if you want to save the people of this town, then you'll tell the captain the story I told you. And if not, you can tell him where I am. And he'll put me in the gallows, and all will go on as it is now. And small folk will be trampled on. If that's what you want.
And you'd see confusion in his eyes as you're telling him all this. Like that there's like another option. Like he doesn't get that. He believes that the only option there is to be the shit stain on some lord's boot, or to be the shit that gets kicked around. Like he doesn't get that there's another option. Like he doesn't understand that. So he like looks at you and he just like frowns in confusion. What do you mean?
All these soldiers, all these people are doing what they're doing because some lord thinks he's very important. Some lord thinks he's more important than all of the many hundreds and thousands of small folk that live in this area. And that's the case for most lords. And he'll like spit the word lord. Doesn't have to be that way. There are a great many of us and very few of them, and we can do something about that. We can change these things. So all you have to do to help with that, Edmund, is go back there and tell them that you found me and that I'm asleep in an alleyway. You gotta tell them that I'm just some drunken idiot ironborn sellsword. That's all you gotta do. And in return, when it comes, you'll live. I'll remember your face, and yours won't be one that I sent to the drowned god.
And he would slowly nod. Who do you fight for?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you it was the Lord of Light. Because I don't believe that either. I guess you could say I fight for the small people.
And he would kind of slowly nod at this. Well, I don't want to be fed my own balls, sir. So
Good lad, Edmund.
he would just nod. Do you let him to his feet?
Yeah.
He would stand up and kind of nod to you. And he would kind of like start to like walk away and like turn and look back at you, like staring at you, and then nod and keep walking. You sense an infantile honesty in this naive boy. He is going to tell the story that you told him.
And that's why he's still breathing.
Yeah. So he would kind of turn out the alleyway, making his way back towards the tavern, leaving you alone.
So once that's done, I'll like make my way around the town, notably to get a quick view of the window to the armory, so I can like solidify it in my mind where it is, and then I'll like make my way to the inn that I would expect my companions to be in.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so you make your way back to the stalls, essentially, to the marketplace, arriving around the same time as Aelred and Ethan. Ethan and Aelred, what have you guys been doing between Dale's house and now?
I think I would have probably suggested when we got back to the market, scouting out the two gates, especially the west and the east, because that's where we've gathered information about. But I would suggest that once we got back to the marketplace. Was the inn, by the way, flammable? Was it made of mostly stone, or was it made of mostly wood?
It's stone and wood. So kind of like a stone, like first floor, and everything above is like wooden thatch, etc.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll stay here and keep the stall. And if you want to check the gates, go do that.
I don't think it's probably a good idea for me to do it, simply because again, I've already been called out for being quite hot-headed. and that's kind of been the act. But I probably would stand out a little bit too much, whereas you're well known, or Aubrey would just naturally blend in anyway. So I'd probably suggest that either one of you two go, to go and scout out the gates possibly. But I'd probably be shocked to see that Elric isn't there, and ask Aubrey where he was.
Hell's if I know. You know he's not much one for sharing his plans before he enacts them.
Aye, indeed. How long's he been gone for?
At least 2 hours.
2 hours? What the hells is he supposed to be doing? And we don't know where he went to.
These Ironborn, you can't trust them. He's probably sold us out already.
Oh, should we be worried?
No. I thought he was going to start a fight right here. He has no love for these guys. That's for sure.
That is for sure. Well, should we go look for him?
He'll show up. It's like a cat.
Yeah, I guess he like will enter into the marketplace, sort of like whistling one of his like tuneless Ironborn sea shanties. Though he'll have like the cloak back up, and he'll be walking like a peasant.
7 hells.
She gestures, and there it is, right on cue.
Elred will be eyeing him, sort of scanning the guards around, seeing if they're moving into any suspicious sort of covering us up, but no, seeing no sign of having been betrayed, he'll just he'll give a nod.
Yeah, he'll like approach properly, and then say quietly, like, we can't really talk here. We should go somewhere. So just in the market square, I think.
We need to find out.
I guess we don't know each other's information, but I think as a player, I think we've gathered enough.
Yeah,
I think we've got the numbers.
Yeah, I would say Elred's probably gathered a little bit more information than me, especially with the levies. So I'd probably let him explain if you two went off together, and I would stay maybe at the cart.
I think we take the cart and get out of town. Go report.
Okay.
Sounds good enough to me.
It's not curfew yet, I assume, right? It's not late enough that the gates would be locked and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's not curfew yet. The sun is starting to dip, but curfew has not started yet. No.
Okay.
It's time to get out then.
I have, he'll say quietly, acquired a job here, and it might be best for our chances if I stay here. I'm in the guard. He'll like do this like disgusting sort of smile. It's really more of like curling back his lips, less of a smile. He'll say, I'll be on patrol.
Elred's eyes narrow.
So I can open the gates on time. I've discovered where the armory is. They don't even have a fucking guard or a lock on the place. This place is run, tell you, not well. And he'll sort of spit onto the ground. But if I stay, I should be able to open the gates. If we attack by night, seems like the best plan. The cavalry are camped outside, about 50. And he'll like explain numbers and things that he would have discovered along the way.
Which gate will he be able to open?
I don't know that certainly, but I think Elric would. So whichever gate he was on walls, right? So he would have been near a gate, certainly.
Yeah, you would have seen that the north gate is like very heavily guarded. The western gate is heavily guarded too. I mean, that's where the cavalry are staying. The eastern gate is where your friends of Miller's Ford have promised you they can open it. And the southern gate is the piecemeal one you guys came through.
So I would say then we want to enter away from the cavalry. We want to ideally enter and then close the gates so that the cavalry can't come in. Because good luck getting over a wall with a horse. So that's kind of what Elric would suggest. He would open the gate opposite. I guess if they're at the western gate, the eastern gate would be the one he would try and be at.
I would suggest, is there any way to kind of cut the horse lines to sow sort of some panic there? And then possibly, if you're staying inside, could you torch the inn?
Definitely.
Maybe could Aubrey cut the horse lines?
Of course.
I guess
And
the signal then will be the the flames of the inn.
Okay. And then the Brotherhood could, if they could try and make it across town to bar the gates from the cavalry or bar the gates from the north. That could be a target.
Yep. Let's get out and let's go over the plans with Ange.
Yeah. We'll wait for your signal then, Elric.
Mm.
Indeed. He'll give a nod.
Okay, so three of you head back with the carriage while Elric's staying behind. Which gate are you leaving through?
East gate.
Okay, so you're leaving through the east gate. Okay, perfect. Good call, because the southern gate would have been like, what the heck are you doing? You just got here? Okay, so you guys step out through the east gate, heading back. I'm going to call a quick break because I'm hearing what sounds like a leak somewhere in my apartment. So give me 1 second.
Oh dear.
Quick 1 minute break.
Okie doke.
So we assault we enter sneakily through the east gate. We try and cut off the north gate. Taylor could possibly sneak around and cut the horse lines, while Elric is setting ablaze the inn. Sound good?
Sounds good to me. I wonder if there's a way to get those weapons out for our people or for like the people of the town, who want to rise up. But it might be a little bit more hassle than it's worth.
Mm. You could test how drunk the other soldiers are. Like, take off all your equipment, walk back in, like without your equipment, go and get some more, pretend like, oh, I left my equipment here.
Mm. Yeah, it could work. Might even be worth going in and just like trying to get them a bit relaxed and like get them singing songs and drinking. Might be enough in itself.
Chuck them out the window.
Yep.
Maybe you can recruit your new friend.
Yeah, Edmund.
Yeah.
Hey, lax security around here. Wouldn't be under my watch.
Was it? It's Magor, isn't it? Is it Magor?
Yeah, Magor.
Yeah. Definitely not under Magor's.
No, there'd be impalings left, right, and centre.
Lloyd, you just have such a head for tactics. Like, I don't even think to ask about at least 2/3 of the things.
I don't know. It's just if you play enough of these games, it just becomes part of you.
Okay, I'm back. There is actually a leak. So good thing I checked on that. But okay, is everyone here?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I think Kai says I just saw mute and unmute.
Oh, yep.
Taylor?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, sorry guys, I just had to make. Yeah, good thing I checked on that. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this then. So you guys make it back to the camp. You share your information, and I am going to. You guys are part of the battle plan with Angian to plan this out. So what's the plan?
So the plan is, I believe, we're going to sneak up on the east gate. Elric will set the inn on fire after trying to maybe get some of the weapons and armor out of the window. But he's going to set the inn on fire. That'll be the signal to come in the gate, the east gate. Aubrey, maybe with some other skirmisher types, are going to try and cut the horse lines in the cavalry camp. And then what the Brotherhood are going to try and do is get to the north gate so we can hold the north gate against the main troop. And so we will be kind of inside the city and they'll be caught outside. I think that was the plan, I believe.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and divide it up into respective parts, like who's assigned to what. So Elric inside the city, setting the tavern on fire and causing general mayhem and stealing weapons. Aubrey, you're going to cut the horse lines. Is that what I understand?
Yes.
Okay. And Ethan and Aelred, are you guys just with the main force, or what's the plan?
I reckon I would probably be with a force heading to the north gate to try and hold the north gate, and then maybe Elrid could be someone going to rally the levies and kind of be a leader of the levies.
Does this sound good to you, Elrid?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to cut all the travel, obviously, and just go ahead and head straight back to the town. So you guys are waiting. There's kind of like a. You remember this copse of trees you guys came out of as you approached the town? You guys have kind of moved through that to where you're directly parallel with the east gate. Inside of the city, Aelric, you were just barely getting back. Or did you want to be? Oh no, you wanted to be at the inn. You're just barely getting back from another break, from another patrol. And Aubrey, you slip off to the side, making your way around over cover of night towards the city. So I'm going to need a stealth check from Aubrey. And then Elric, what are you doing inside of the city?
So first of all, he would go back to the inn where the armory is. A little bit more sober, but still like acting pretty drunk, and he'd like get in and play up the drunken Ironborn stereotype and like be singing and encouraging others to like get rowdy and like join him in some revelry. At the moment, anyway, trying to get them the greater majority of them drunk.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me. What do you think you should roll to try and get these fools as drunk as possible?
Deception, maybe, or persuasion. I think deception is probably the performance. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. The performance or deception, because it's definitely an act. You know, he's
yeah, for sure. Roll me a deception check using your Constitution modifier, as they're probably going to expect you to at least drink with them.
Okay, yes, sir. I can do that. So I get a 15 on the die, and my con mod is +3, so 18.
Okay, and I'm just going to roll a general con save for the group. My dice hate me. I just rolled a 5 on the die. Okay. Roll me percentile.
Yes, sir. 89.
Oh, that's such a good roll. Okay, 89% of the people inside of this tavern, of the house guard and trained soldiers who are staying here, are going to be drunk beyond all kin, and they're going to have disadvantage on attacks in combat.
Excellent. Yep. So he'll really be encouraging. I guess like at some stage he's like up on a table, he's like singing a song and like really getting them. And when it seems like people are pretty twisted, that's when he'll like the bunks are also upstairs, right?
Yeah, bunks are upstairs too.
So he'll kind of be like, "Oh, go to bed," and he'll like make his way upstairs, sort of slowly but surely, or attempt to anyway.
Yeah, you can slip away easy. The party's going now. As you make your way up to the first floor, you see that there are two guards now outside of the armory, looking very sad and sullen that they are out of the party, essentially. They look at you like super pissed because they know you're the one who did this to them.
He'll walk up and put his like hand on the shoulder of one of them and be like, "Listen, pal, I gotta get a little bit more sober before I go to bed. You go down and enjoy yourself. You've earned it." And he'll like lean against the wall and like fold his arms in sort of guard duty and encourage the other guy down to enjoy himself.
Okay, yeah. The one who like you like offered to take his post for him, he like looks at you like wide-eyed and just like gets this big fat grin on his face. I'm gonna roll. Okay. He kind of just like nods, and he's like, thanks, Willem," and he kind of like slaps you on the back and kind of like slips past you, heading downstairs, and you hear him start to carouse.
So when he's gone, maybe a minute and a half, I'll be spending that time going like fake hiccups. And kind of like staring into the middle distance, and the guy next to me is probably really pissed off about it. But I'll have also like pulled one of the daggers from up from out of my sleeve. I'll be holding it, and then when there's a particular like "Wah!" from downstairs, I'm just going to shove it into that guy's throat who's next to me.
Yeah, they're singing a rather hearty drinking song right now, and you're waiting for the moment when the chorus comes in, because that's when they all start shouting. And as they all start singing the chorus together and shouting and just general merriment passing on below, the one guard, he actually kind of like leans out, like looking past you longingly, perfectly exposing his neck. Actually, I rolled an 8 on the luck die, and you're gonna get advantage on this first attack.
Oh baby, it's a 19 on the die. I'm going to use, because I'm a battle master, I'm going to use a trip attack. So I'll add an extra D8 of damage, and he needs to make a strength save.
Okay, so he's probably going to pass the strength save with a 19.
Yeah. Oh, he will take 14 damage, though. Jesus.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead as dead. How do you kill him?
It's nothing. He leans out, and Elric would be like singing the song, and he'll like put his hand on the guy's shoulder and like say the words to him, like da, 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 and then just like shove the knife into his throat, and like guide him down onto the ground, pull the knife out and wipe it on his tunic.
Yeah, the guy's eyes are just wide and just collapses, blood burbling out of his mouth. A red stream pouring down his chin and dripping onto his tunic and onto his armor, staining it like rust. He collapses to the ground, his eyes blank with the stare of death. And we're going to slip outside to Aubrey. With a 21, Aubrey, these people suck, I swear. I rolled a 3, a 3, and a 7 on perception checks to spot you. So you're going to make it right up to their lines. No issue at all. How did you manage to just slip past all these guards? Just no problem.
Aubrey is adept at moving in the shadows, and as the wind moves, she takes a step, making almost no noise, taking advantage of the distractions around the camp, and then getting over to the horses.
Okay. Several of them kind of like look at you. They kind of start to like stamp their hooves and kind of like move around at your approach.
I pull out some of the grain that I'd stuffed in my pockets for just this reason.
Okay, perfect. Roll me animal handling at advantage since you have the grain.
One of those is a 19 on the die.
Okay, perfect. They kind of snuff and snort and start to eat the grain right out of your hand. They kind of like cluster around you. All of them kind of like expecting or moving towards you as close as they can, expecting some grain.
Yeah, once they're calm, I'll begin cutting the lines on them, and I'll not only loosen their tethers, but are they saddled at the moment?
Most of them no. There are a couple though that are saddled for like special like if the need should arise to hop on quickly.
The ones that are saddled, I will cut the strap underneath, but leave the saddle on.
Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. Yeah, you cut lines. You cut those saddles beneath them. Anything else that you wish to do to cause mayhem when the time arises?
If there's like torches about or something, I'll make a note of that. And when I see the fire in the village, in the town, then I might toss one of those towards a tent. Or I presume there might be some feed for the horses stacked up nearby, and have a second fire going out here.
Okay, perfect. So as you're kind of like making your preparations, moving amongst the horses, cutting lines, untethering them, cutting saddles, you kind of like, prepared to take one of these torches and the need arise. Roll me a perception check.
25.
You hear the sing-song whistle of somebody approaching. They're singing some sort of a song to themselves as they walk towards you. You see a torch bobbing up and down. Somebody coming to check on the horses.
Aubrey will back away quietly.
Okay, roll me another stealth check as you kind of try to find somewhere to hide quickly.
.22.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, you managed to maybe where do you hide? He doesn't see you. He got a 15.
I think just a few steps away, there's a tree that is occasionally used to tie up some of the horses, and it's got one of these big geldings near it, and so she'll be kind of between the gelding and the tree, easily hidden.
Okay. Yeah, you hear him kind of approach. He does like a cursory kind of like walk across, like among the horses. None of them move like very far. I mean, they're pretty like sedentary, stationary creatures unless urged to move. So they kind of stay in one place, start grazing. He, my gosh, these guards suck. He does not notice anything off. I'm switching die. Okay. He does not notice anything off, kind of like eyeing the horses and then kind of nodding to himself and turning around and walking back towards the other men who are camped just a short distance off. Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's just that moment where she's kind of holding her breath, waiting for him to notice that these lines are cut and that the horses are just standing there and they could walk away anytime they wanted. Nothing.
But the house hack sucks apparently, so nothing. Yeah, he doesn't notice anything. He just walks away, and you just exhale in relief, looking towards the town, waiting for the signal. Elric, you stand over the body of a dead man.
Yeah, he'll open the door to the armory immediately and drag the body in so there's no blood in the hallway if he can manage it, and like prop him up against the door when he closes it so it won't open necessarily. And the second that he gets into the armory, he's just going to like run over to the window, open it, and begin throwing Well, first, like if there's any like cloth or anything like that around, sacks, he'll throw those down so that I can make a softer landing. If not, he'll just start with the chainmail and then like with the armor first and then the weapons.
Yeah, you could throw like a bag of like hauberks out the window first to make like a little pad before you start tossing things out. You hear the carousing still going on below. You see the slow stain of blood spreading across the floor from this man's throat each time you go back to pick up something new to toss out the window. And I'm going to roll. Okay. You hear footsteps kind of walking along, and then somebody cursing under their breath. Damn useless, I swear. We assigned guards to watch the armory, and they can't even do that.
Does it sound like what's his name? GoT? Is that his name?
Yes. Well, actually, no. It doesn't sound like Gerther. Roll me an intelligence check to see if you can determine whose voice it is, because you know it.
14.
It's Lewin.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'll just draw my big sword, my big boy sword, and I will knock on the door of the armory. Dum, 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 dum.
Oh, this guy. Okay, let me see. You hear the voice stop, the footsteps stop.
Help!
Padre. Well, who's in there? And he kind of walks over to the door. You hear him like pushing on the door. He can't open it because the body's in the way.
Help!
You hear him slam into the door again.
I'll pull the body aside so that the next time he slams in, he'll fall into the room.
Okay, perfect. Dude, this dude's fetching weak. Okay, he slams in the door. The door comes open. His eyes are kind of like wide, and he like steps in, and he looks up into the darkness and sees you.
I'm gonna gut him.
He goes pale as a sheep.
Quick as I can. So I will attack and action surge.
No! Okay, this dude's dead.
I'm going 6 attacks because I'm a 2-weapon fighter, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh.
Okay.
Lord and lady.
First is a 12. Second one is a 16.
Okay.
Third one is a 19. That's a crit. Oh god. So then I still have 3 more. Jesus. That's a 19 on the die. That one misses, and that one's a 15 on the die. So I think of those 4 will hit, one of which is a crit.
Okay, yeah, anything less than a 14 does not hit.
Okay, yep.
You're going to massacre this dude. Just tell me how you kill him. He doesn't have tons of health, and you crit, so crits are nasty. Actually, let's go ahead and roll on the crit table, because you crit him.
Sure, why not?
Just see how badly you murder him. So you start with a D10. So what'd you get?
A 3.
Serious hit. Roll me another D10.
A 1.
Oh man. Okay, so he immediately he's gonna take a level of exhaustion and lose 5 points per turn until he's healed. So yeah, so he's how do you just destroy this dude?
I messed it up. I took too many attacks. I should have taken 4, I think, instead of 6, because I thought we were level 5. I always assume I'm level 5, but I think I would have killed him anyway, probably. But
probably with crit, yeah.
Yeah, he like steps in and like smashes the door, and like probably trips over the body of the other guard, and then I'll just like stamp on the back of his knee and like hack down with the one axe, and then with the sword like into the back of his neck or into the back of his chest. And he'll be like dead in moments. Though I'll like flip him over to like look at me and say, "I'll remember."
And he just whispers, "You son of a bitch," as you kill him, just dead. Real fear. He pisses himself. You just massacre him, and nobody even knows.
I'll get straight back to the task of throwing armor out the window, and then when that's done, I'll start throwing weapons out the window, starting with like military weapons, so like halberds, swords, things like that, and then once that's done, like daggers and whatever else there is.
Okay. Man, let's see how lucky you are. Okay. You would, as you kind of reach, after you finish the armor and you get like halberds and stuff out the window, as you're starting on like the swords and axes, you would hear a shout from below. Oh, what's all this?
I'll look at it and see if it's somebody I recognize. I don't know.
You would see like a patrol looking down this alleyway. Kind of like one of them is super confused. They haven't seen you. They just see this pile of stuff sitting in the alley.
There's a fire. I'm trying to save the stuff.
And they're like, okay, roll me deception.
I don't know what the hell else I'm going to do.
My word.
It's only an 11.
Okay. They like look at you and they look at like the inn and they don't see like any smoke or anything. And it's like bullshit.
Yeah, he's just going to continue throwing stuff out the window and try and get as much out as he can before like people break into this room. He's going to like place the two bodies against the door. He's probably not going to be able to start the fire, but nonetheless, he's like disarmed most of the people and most of them are drunk. So I think it's probably enough.
Yeah, you hear them start yelling, "Hey, stop that!" And like two of them like run off to make it up to the place where you're at. They run towards the front of the tavern. Okay, you keep tossing, barring the bodies up against the door. Okay, so you guys are waiting. You still don't see the signal. Aelred and Ethan.
It's just still waiting. We're like tapping our fingers, thinking, "What the hell? It should be time." Are we getting close to the time where the guards were going to let us in anyway? The levies.
Yeah, you from your vantage, you can actually see them swap out at this moment as you're thinking, like, where's the sign?
Maybe Aelred, once it's the time to the levies might be on, maybe Aelred can start taking a little stroll up just to confirm it is the levies.
Yep. Aelred approaches under the cover of dark and shouts up, "Miller's Ford." Calls up, "Miller's Ford, are you there?"
You hear back, "We're here."
"Open the gates."
And you hear them shout down, "Open the gates!" And the two guards standing, they'd kind of like look at you and nod and step away from the gate. The gate would kind of be pulled open slowly, revealing the street leading into the town.
So, Ethan, you take the Brotherhood without banners and go and hold the north, and I'll lead the levy round, and we'll try and hold off the cavalry in the west gate.
Aye, sounds good. Let's do that. Brotherhood, with me. We go north. We've got to hold the gate. And let's hope we can find that bastard Black Pipe while we're on our way.
Okay.
Miller's Ford with me. Miller's Ford with me. And I start leading them through the straight through the town.
So which direction would the inn be from the east gate?
Like southeast.
No, I wouldn't be going that way. Maybe I would ask Aelred to head that way and try and get to the inn, because that'd be where the guards were as well.
Okay.
And then I would go north.
Okay. So you start heading north. Aelred and yours, you start heading kind of southeasterly. A small contingent of Brotherhood kind of breaking off and following you. You're probably about like 40, 50 men strong. while Ethan, you're leading kind of you're with the main force heading north. You would hear shouts of alarm go up as they see this force moving into the city. Soldiers kind of like running to take up defensive positions. On the outside of the city, Aubrey, you wouldn't see a fire, but you would hear shouts of alarm.
Yeah, if people seem like they're beginning to hear it, then she will kind of begin to set the horses loose, slap them and send them off, and start whatever fire she can.
Okay. Yeah, you can easily kind of light up the food supply for the horses, or like some tents or something, sending them running off. There'd be general confusion on the outside camp on the west. I'm gonna have them roll animal handling to see how many horses they can stop from running. Okay, cool. They stop about. They're able to gather. So they're going to say their force is cut in half. They're able to stop 25 of them from running. The others just bolt, taking off into the forest. As the
These
army,
are 25 unsaddled horses, though, right?
yeah, they're unsaddled, so they're gonna have to saddle them up still. Okay, so those horses just take off. I'm guessing you make a quick getaway as soon as it's clear.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, okay, so you slip away with the confusion. Ethan and your group, you're heading north. You see that a contingent of these soldiers at House Hack are kind of gathering to meet you in combat. As you're kind of approaching the inn, Aelred, you see that there is confusion inside. You see that they're carousing, but you see two guards burst in the door, yelling and shouting something, while three more are kind of like, you see them duck into an alley behind the inn, shouting something as well. Soon the carousing stops, and people are kind of like, you see that there's confusion at the inn.
With me, take for justice against Lord Valamir, follow me. And I lead the charge into the inn.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and slip into initiative now. Then, so we're gonna roll. This is groups. Each of you who has a group that you're like a part of. So Aelred and Ethan, you're gonna command those groups. So they're just gonna go with you on their turn. They each group has like, let's say, 3 attacks that they can make. And we'll go from there. Go ahead and roll initiative and put it in the chat. Okay. And what'd you get, Ethan?
I got a 14. Which chat are we putting it into? Sorry.
Oh, are you on a phone?
Yeah.
Okay, you won't see a chat on your phone then. That's fine.
Well,
Okay,
I've got the call chat, but
oh yeah, it's the call chat that we're putting your stuff in. Do you not see it?
no. I say I've put that into the call chat, but
Oh, okay.
So there's like a Google Hangout that's separate to that Hangout chat. It's confusing, but there's like a separate chat for, yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got 14.
Okay.
12.
Aubrey 12. And then we're gonna have a 9. Guards. And then we've got okay. Here we go. Okay, the Northern Gate Guards are going to go first. They're going to go ahead and form. They're going to gather up because they're not going to be able to make it to you. So they're like, you come to them. They're going to take a ready action to attack your group when you come within range.
Okay.
Okay, Ethan and Brotherhood.
Okay, so what does my force consist of? It's the Brotherhood forces, but what do they have? Bows?
Yeah, so I'd say you'd probably have about like 30-foot and like 10 archers and like maybe 10 spearmen, just like a motley group essentially of soldiers.
Yeah. Well, I've got a longbow and I've got 2 swords because again, I'm also a 2-weapon fighter, battle master. But I also carry a longbow because I'm from the Wolfswood. So once we get into bow range, I'd be having my bows fire first, and try and whittle down some of the troops first before we engage in melee.
Okay, so you and the archers are going to post up and fire some arrows first?
Yeah, we're going to fire some arrows first.
Okay. Go ahead. So you will be able to make your attacks and then make 3 attacks for the Brotherhood soldiers with you who have bows.
Okay. 11 and 5 is 16.
Okay.
And that's a 3, so that's going to be a miss. So I hit once.
Okay.
It's only doing 3 damage though. And then the Brotherhood's attack. Am I using my attack modifier?
Use just like a +3.
So that's a 16 for the first one. 10. Oh, and a 18 on the die for the second one. So that's 2 successful attacks.
Okay, so you're going to be able to hit once for you and then 2 times for them.
Yeah, D8s?
Yeah, D8s.
Yeah, okay. So the first one was 3 anyway. 3 points of damage. So that was my attack. And then any modifier on top?
Just that same +3.
Okay, so that's 9 on that hit for the soldiers, and 8 also. So that's 17 points of damage from the troops and 3 from me, so 20 altogether.
Okay, under a hail of arrows, you see like maybe 10 or so of these soldiers fall before they're able to get their shields up and block them. They kind of shout in confusion and alarm as these arrows fall, and they know they're going to have to come to you next turn, or else you're just going to keep firing at them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spears out in front, ready for any charge.
Okay, yeah, they step up. Your spearmen, kind of leveling these motley assortment of kind of pole arms at them. Captain Garrett at the tavern is going to shout an alarm. He's going to lead a small contingent of soldiers up the stairs to the door and try to bust it in. Okay. So he slams his shoulder against it twice. It not budging, so he's going to kind of like push everyone back and kind of take a battle axe out of the hands of one of the soldiers and start swinging it at the door, getting 2 solid chops in. You see that you think this door is maybe going to last like maybe 2 more blows before it's broken down, Elric. You see the captain peering through at you. You just see him grunt, "You bastard."
That's why they call me Pike.
Nice. Aubrey. Roll me a D4, and that'll determine how many rounds it's going to take for you to get to the city to give them the action.
All right.
Just do a D4 -2.
It's a D4 -2.
Minimum of 1, yeah.
2 rounds.
Okay. So you'll take 2 rounds to get there. You're kind of just sprinting through the surrounding kind of grassland around this village. You hear the confusion, the shouts. You see the arrows flying to the air. And you know the battle's begun. Okay. Elric, your turn.
Okay, so I can see that there's like a bunch of dudes outside the door, and I'm probably going to die if they get in here. So what I'll try and do is I'll like throw a bunch of the stuff onto the ground, and then I'm going to try and light a fire as quickly as possible with like whatever flint and steel I have, plus like the dry weapons and like whatever amount of sacks and stuff that are in here that might be flammable. I'm just going to like try and get a fire started as quick as I can.
Okay, I don't think you need to roll for that. I think that's like basic survival for like an Ironborn because you kind of live
Sure.
Like,
So I could just use my action maybe to get a fire going.
yeah, easy. Yeah, you could like pile up some like leftover broken spears that haven't been repaired yet by their armorer, or like you can toss some like burlap sacks that didn't have any hauberks in them on the ground, and just light it up. Yeah, that's fine. Right in front of the door.
So I could now leave, but I'm worried the fire won't take if I do that. So I'm going to stay another round, and next round continue to work in the fire, and then probably go. So for now, I'm just going to like devote my entire attention to getting this fire going as big as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure. You just keep piling stuff up on there, but not like you're not building the fire the way that like farmers think that you should. Like you're doing it like a survivalist, like small kindling first, and then building it up and letting it get out of control. Okay, yeah, you got a fire going. You're stoking it. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Velimir, you guys don't know where he is, so I'm just gonna kind of skip his turn, just know what he's doing. The tavern guards. So they followed Garen up the stairs. They were watching him kind of break the door in, and then they see the fire, the light of the fire, kind of inside. They're like, "Fire! Fire!" And you see some of them come like kind of running out of the tavern, running towards the well to get buckets. Where they encounter Elred and the Miller's Ford coming charging at them. So they're not going to get an attack this turn because they're off guard. Elred.
Elred runs into the middle of them, spurring his companions on, and his companions hit an armor class of 20, 8, and 15, but only doing 1 point of damage. And meanwhile, Elred is in the middle of them, just fighting ferociously but defensively. So he's taking the dodge action, but he's also raged. So that actually distracts everybody around him and gives his companions advantage on attacks.
Okay, for sure. Did you roll for Miller's Ford to attack?
Miller's Ford, yep. They got
okay.
They hit twice and both did well. I don't know what armor class they're aiming for. They got a 20, an 8, and a 15.
A 20 and a 15 will hit.
Okay, they do 1 point damage for each of those.
Okay.
They're also obviously surprised, and for justice for Miller's Ford, I'm shouting.
Okay. You're surprised to see that out of surrounding buildings, another group of levies comes and joins you. The Millers were able to convince another small band of levied men to come to their aid. So you have 10 more soldiers joining you. They come running out, screaming for Miller's Ford with you. Okay. The Northern Gate guards, they're going to kind of grit their teeth and charge you, Ethan. They're coming at you. They're going to make 3 attacks. 2 of them will be directed towards the Brotherhood, and then 1 will be directed at you.
Yep.
Ooh, that's a good series of rolls, actually. That's 17, 18, and then 19.
Yeah. All hits.
Okay, so the one on you is going to do 9 points of damage.
Okay.
While the 2 to your Brotherhood are going to do 14.
Okay.
Right. I'll keep track of the Brotherhood's hit points.
Yeah.
Okay. It is your turn now.
And what armor class are we trying to hit?
AC 15.
AC 15. Okay. So I got a 4. I've pre-rolled. So myself hit 14. So that's a miss. My second hit, because I've now drew my 2 swords to engage in melee combat. That's a 15. So does that hit?
15, yeah, hits. Right on the money.
Yeah. Okay. And that was 7 points of damage.
Okay.
And then the Brotherhood, they missed all 3 times.
Okay.
So, like, being hit by this initial shockwave of the guards charging us put us off balance a little bit. I managed to get 1 hit in on whoever hit me. for 7 hit points.
Yeah, your spearmen are obviously untrained. They don't know how to form like a proper wall, like the spacing between spears that you need to have. So like they're easily able to swat aside the spears and just like lay into your troops. You hear screams of pain, dying men falling before you. You see that now you're fighting in earnest as you've locked into close combat.
Yeah.
Okay. Captain Garrett is going to just scream in rage as he sees you set this fire. And he's going to attack the door 2 times. Oh my goodness, it's a nat 20 on the first roll. He's going to bash this door and just destroy it and leap towards you over the fire, actually. Elric.
Yep.
First attack coming at you is a 16. Does that hit you?
That misses.
Okay. Well, that's his only attack, actually, because he used one to break the door in. So he just comes in swinging wildly with his battle axe, leveling it, like swinging it right at your chest. You're able to step back. It buries itself in the wall. And he just grunts in anger as he pulls it free. Aubrey.
So Aubrey is still moving, presumably ahead of the chaos of the cavalry trying to get on horses and realizing there aren't horses and they're running away. But she's moving into the city still.
Yeah, you see them organizing themselves in a fervor, just trying to get their lines under some sort of a resemblance of command. You see that the people atop the wall, these guards you should be watching out towards the north, they've turned towards the inside of the city, and you see them firing arrows down at some sort of a battle. Next turn, you'll be in range to shoot them if you want to, or to scale the wall. Okay, Elric, Captain Garrett is right up in your face.
Yep. I'm going to try and grapple him. So he needs to make athletics. He needs to beat a 21.
He does not. He got a 19.
Excellent. I'll grab him by the shoulders and push him into the fire. And then I'll use the, I guess, my second attack to pin him. I don't know if that's how grappling works. Anyway, I'll move him into the fire and hold him there. And I'll continue like kicking stuff into the fire to try and keep it going. But I just push him into the fire and hold him basically as a human shield for if any other guards come in.
Okay, easy. Roll me a luck die.
Yep. 6.
His cloak sets afire, ablaze.
Perfect.
He's wearing this like kind of a very tacky cape, like totally like a trying to look like the noble soldier, essentially. Failing miserably. Also, it's kind of grungy. But it lights on fire on his back. Maybe somebody spilled beer over it during the night, but it goes up immediately. He's going to take fire damage each turn until he puts it out.
Excellent. So I'll hold there for one more turn to make sure the fire is really taking. I want to make sure like the ceiling is starting to like blacken and that like the floor itself is on fire as opposed to the things. And once that's the case, I will try and jump out the window. But for now, I'll just hold.
Yeah. Okay. For sure. Yeah. You hold him in the fire. He's screaming in pain and fear now. You see it pass over his eyes like an animal about to be slaughtered. Like he knows that he's in trouble if he can't break free. Okay, Elric, Velimir. Again, you guys don't know what's happening with him. Tavern guards. They're gonna see Elred as you and Miller's Ford and the other this other small group of levies that have joined you, along with a small force of Brotherhood. As they kind of lock combat with you, you hear them shouting over their shoulder. You see they're terribly drunk, like they're stumbling about, just the worst. Whatever's happened here, they are out of sorts completely. So they're gonna make 3 attacks. Well, actually, these are the elite guards. So they'll make 4 attacks on you and yours at disadvantage. So I'm gonna make 2 on you and then 2 on your brother, on your Miller's Ford and Brotherhood. So that's a 4 and 5 on the first one. That misses. Second one, oh, okay, that actually might hit. That's 2 13s. So that's a 16. Does that hit you?
Nope. I just managed to jump out of the way for that one.
Okay, a halberd just skitters across the ground, shooting up sparks next to you as you're able to step aside. And then 2 attacks at disadvantage on your Brotherhood and members. That's going to hit.
As that first attack hits, I'm a sentinel and I'm there guarding my companion. So I hit the guy who hits my companion with my pick and hits him for 9 points damage.
Ouch. Yeah, you hear this dude scream in pain as you essentially cave in his skull cap. he collapses to the ground. You effectively dispatching him. But your friend, this member of Miller's Ford, the young boy, the 16-year-old, takes a spear to the gut and just drops. Okay, and that first attack is going to do 7 points of damage, and then the second attack hit 2 because they rolled 2 18s, even better. And that's going to be 4 points. So you see the boy go down, a halberd cleaving through his gut, and then another levyman who joined you from not from Miller's Ford, but just another random person you don't know yet. He takes an axe in the side of the neck and just collapses, spraying blood everywhere. Okay. It's your turn, sir.
Yep. We hit, if they've got armor class 15, we hit 3 times.
Oof,
the third one is a crit, so we do 6, 6, and 13.
6, 6, 13, and go ahead and roll for me on that critical hit table. You're gonna roll me a d10. Roll me a d10 twice. Tell me what the first and second one are.
Okay. It's a 8 and then a 6.
8. Okay. Okay. Well, 8 isn't the bomb. You see, as one of you is just swinging one of these guys, you just cleave right beneath his eye, leaving this deep, deep scar. He's gonna kind of startle back in pain, just like screaming, collapse into his knees. So he gets a minor scar, but you kill him anyways. So you did 6, 6, and 13. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's 25. Hey, yeah, your Miller's Ford boys and these other levies and the small contingent of Brotherhood are just laying into these drunken tavern guards. They're falling just like sheaves of wheat just before the scythe, collapsing to the ground, bleeding everywhere. The floor is becoming this cobblestone courtyard is becoming slick with blood.
We'll be pushing on towards the tavern as well.
Yeah,
towards
for sure.
the tavern door.
Yeah, so you keep pushing on. It has been 2 rounds, so I am going to add the environmental effect. Rain starts to fall heavily. You saw the clouds rolling in as you approached, but now it starts to rain in earnest. Wind falling too. Ranged attacks are going to be made at disadvantage as this rain gets heavy. And movement along already slick areas is going to be, you're going to have to make a dex save to not fall as this rain just falls in earnest. Okay, so you just keep pushing on towards the tavern. Men falling before you. They kind of start falling back to the tavern itself, kind of trying to bar the door, stopping you from entering. The northern gate guards are going to make 3 attacks on Ethan and the Brotherhood. So 1 on you, Ethan.
AC 17, because I've got my 2 swords out now.
Okay, well, that's a 22, so that's going to hit.
Yep.
And that's going to do max damage, so 11 points to you.
Okay.
The 2 attacks against the Brotherhood. 1 hits, 1 misses. Brotherhood takes another 9 points of damage. Yeah, so blood is being shed like crazy up here. You see that the floor, the stone cobbles. Now that the rain is kind of falling, streaks of lightning crossing the sky like spider webs. It glistens red. Red as the apples you brought into the town. Red with men's blood, and you see that the din, the chaos, is beginning to reach a climax as blood is spilled. Ethan and the Brotherhood, go ahead.
Okay, so having taken a few hits now and I'm quite blooded, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs to the Brotherhood around me. Push on through. We must get to the gate and hold the gate. Push on through. And pre-rolling, I get my 2 attacks off and connect both times, doing 19 points of damage. So I take a couple of good hits there. I give a couple of good hits. The Brotherhood as well responded to my shout. Also get 2 of the 3 hits in. And that causes 21 points of damage from them. So 19 from myself and then 21 from the Brotherhood.
Okay, I'm gonna roll percentile to see the morale of the Northern Gate Guards. Oh, they're good. Okay, they stand firm even against this onslaught. These soldiers fighting, dying. You see that some of them are untrained. They're levies on the wrong side of this conflict. They don't understand what's going on. They're just fighting for what they think is against what they think is an enemy force. Okay. Yeah, it's getting very bloody up in the north. Captain Garrett is going to try and break free of your grapple, Elric. So give me a contested.
You can try. 21 again. 16 plus. Actually, 22. 16 plus.
Oh, you got 22? Okay, he got
22,
21 also, so you beat him.
Yeah, 16
Hey,
plus 6.
Yeah, he's just struggling, just screaming. He's like as you hold him down. He's gonna take 3 points of fire damage. You see his skin begin to blister. These nasty, just like globe-like pustules, kind of blistering on his skin and popping, sizzling into the flame. He's just screaming in pain now, trying to break free, trying to do anything. All right, Aubrey.
So Aubrey, while everyone is distracted, she takes advantage of the moment, stringing her bow and an arrow flying up to strike one of the guards on the wall, I presume.
Yeah, so you'll be attacking the Northern Gate Guards then.
It's a 19 to hit.
It hits for sure.
That's 11 damage with sneak attack. And I'd like to use my bonus action to hide, as she is going to step back and hopefully disappear before they can see her again.
Yeah, a guard staggers and Wilhelm screams as he falls off the wall. As he collapses. The other guards, let's see if they notice. They do not. They do not see their friend. I'm assuming you probably shot the one at the very back. Yeah, the others don't even notice as their friend falls off the wall behind them. Instead, just focusing on this battle in front of them. Perfect. Elric.
Okay, so I will now pin him into the fire down, because I think that's what you can do with your action when you're grappling somebody. So I will basically put him down onto the ground, make him prone in the fire, and then I will let go of him, and I'm going to run for the window and jump out of it.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and give me a dex save to see how much damage you take from falling.
Yep. 13.
Okay. 13 is not going to be a success falling from a first-story window. But also give me that pin check. Just do like another contested strength. If you succeed, I'm going to have him take fire damage.
Okay, so it actually, yeah.
Or can you just stay to pin?
You can just stay there. If you have grappled, you can just, you can like move them to be pinned.
Okay.
But I got a 20 either way.
Okay, well, you smash him. So he's just going to take fire damage. Go ahead and roll me like 2d6.
9.
Okay, so he'll take 9 fire damage.
Yep. And as long as he gets burnt and remembers it, that's the lesson that he's trying to be teaching. Once he's done with that, he's going to jump out the window and probably hurt himself landing.
Yeah, you're going to take falling from this first-story window. You'll take 5 points of falling damage.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, you land. You feel your knees creak as you slam into the ground. You don't quite manage the acrobatic roll. Instead, only managing to kind of like half fall, half stumble across the ground, slamming into the alley wall. The guards at the ground who are watching you throw stuff out the window just look at you in surprise as you land next to them, kind of stunned. I'll have them go in the next round. Okay. Velimir, as you approach the tavern, Aelred, you would see a horse just burst free of the stables. Upon its back, a very pompous-looking noble young man rides out, just like looking over his shoulder in fear. You see that this man is not a leader but a coward, and he is trying to escape. Okay, tavern guards are going to attack you. So 2 attacks on you again, Aelred. 2 attacks on your Miller's Ford boys. Okay, that's a 15 and an 18, so the lower. So that'd be 18 to hit you.
Yep.
Okay, so 1 attack is going to land. Say it's somebody's longsword. Is going to do 9 points of damage as it just chops down from your blind spot. Just a totally dishonorable attack for sure. But they cut you from the back. Next attack, disadvantage. Definitely going to miss. That's a 3 on the die. 2 attacks against the Miller. Ford. That's 15, so 1 hit, and you're going to be able to Sentinel strike that.
Yep, I swing out, but I miss with my riposte.
Okay. So they're going to get 2 hits then in on your Miller's Ford. This is going to be 8. Okay, first attack's going to do 6. Second attack's going to do 9. So 15 against your group of soldiers. Hey, you see the man you talked to, the leader of the Miller's Ford group, standing alongside you, screaming in anger as he's fighting alongside you. An arrow takes him in the eye, and he collapses to the ground. You see somebody from the Brotherhood kind of step up and take his place, start fighting before a longsword just guts him. His entrails falling from him like snakes. He collapsed to the ground, trying to put them into his body before they're trampled underfoot by a soldier running past him. And it'll be your turn.
How far away is Velimir?
Velimir is just barely come out of the stables. He's probably like 50 feet away right now.
50, did you say?
Yeah, like 50.
Okay, I'll say, don't let Velimir escape. Running up, closing the distance to 20 feet away, and then at the reaching down to my pouch, I grab out my caltrops and throw the caltrops at the feet of the horse.
Brutal, man. I love it. Yeah, you throw the caltrops out. They spread across the ground. Make me a ranged missile attack to see how well you place them.
Okay. Hit AC 20.
Okay. Yeah, you throw them. They just scatter across the ground, rolling and bouncing, rotating like so many leaves you've seen before in the wind, until they come to a stop before this horse. Velimir looking down in fear and in surprise, and the horse. We'll see what happens when it's his turn.
Mm-hmm. And for my men, they only get 1 hit in for 1 point damage.
Okay. All right. The floor. Sorry, I keep saying the floor. The ground is just coated now in the bodies of dead and dying men and in blood.
Did I provoke any opportunity attacks as I closed down on Velimir?
Ooh, probably yes. I'll just say you take 2, but there'll be a disadvantage. Miss. Miss.
Okay.
No worries, by the way, Taylor. We'll be done soon. This is pretty much just it after the battle. Okay. The tavern guards are looking pretty worse for wear, as are the Northern Gate guards. Captain Garrett screams from the flame. Velimir's running back to the top with the Northern Gate guards. They're going to attack 3 times. Their numbers are becoming quite thin. So 1 at you, Ethan. That is a nat 20. Okay, so D10.
Doesn't matter. I can't parry that anyway.
Okay, so that's going to be 5 combat effect table. Okay, you are stunned and knocked prone for 1 round. So this next round, you're stunned and knocked prone as this thick-shouldered man just slams into you, knocking you off your feet, dealing 12 points of damage. So he just lays you out across the ground, burying this battle axe in your gut that you didn't see coming. The other two will attack your Brotherhood. 1 hit. And that's going to be 7 to the Brotherhood.
Okay.
It's your turn. You're prone and stunned.
Gasping and breathing, holding my stomach, taking a pretty heavy wound. Just barely able to see through like tears in my eyes or like watery eyes. The Brotherhood respond. They miss twice, but they do crit on their second one.
Okay.
Yeah, they rolled a 20, so 23 altogether. Is it double damage die?
Yeah, so you roll your damage. You do max on the first one, and then you just roll once. So roll once and do max on as if they did hit first already.
Okay. So I rolled twice on the damage die, so it's like 8 for the first one then, and 4 on the second one. That's 12, 15 points of damage, and like I said, that was a crit. So
yeah, so go ahead and roll me. Let's roll me an additional D10 of damage, since the crit table doesn't really work in group combat.
Yeah. That's a 7.
Okay, that'll finish off the Northern Gate Guards.
Cool.
Yeah, and one last bloody struggle. The Northern Gate Guards go down. Screams of pain, screams of the dying, drowned out by the cheer, the roar. The guards atop the wall with the bows immediately just kind of like fall to their knees and raise their hands, surrendering.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up then is Captain Garrett. He was going to pull himself to his feet, rip the cloak off his shoulders so he doesn't take any more fire damage, throwing it to the floor. He's going to run to the window and see you on the ground, and he's going to shout to the soldiers to stop you before he turns and runs back out the room, running down to the first floor with a dash action. Okay, Aubrey.
So is the gate on this side open?
Let's see. I'm going to roll a luck die for it, see if they left it open. They did. They left it open as the combat began. Nobody thought to close it.
Okay, great. Then I will move in. And what do I see moving into the gate?
Yeah, as you step inside, you would see the last desperate struggle of the battle on the ground. The last soldier cut down and the others falling to their knees and surrender. You would see the archers atop the gate surrendering as well. And roll me a perception check.
Like a 25 or something.
You would hear the steady thunder of approaching cavalry.
We came in a different direction, didn't we? The
Brotherhood came in through the eastern gate. You're standing at the northern right now.
I would like to shut this gate.
Okay. You could run into one of the gatehouses. You'd find, the winch that you're supposed to turn to close it. Go ahead and give me an athletics check.
13 on the die. 12 all up.
Okay.
That's not my strong suit.
Yeah, you're able to start closing it. You get it down like a fourth, but it's not going nearly as quickly as you'd hope. It's easier to close it, of course, but your strength is failing you, especially after your run. You're a little winded.
Yeah. Is it a rope or is it a chain that's attached? That is has to be unwound.
That's a good question. In a small town like this, I would assume is probably a rope.
I would like to cut the rope and just let it drop.
Okay. I don't even think I need to make a check against it. Just you cut it. And with a grinding scream, it falls quickly, burying itself deep into the ground.
Yeah, and then just as a free action, she'll shout to the Brotherhood and say, "We're not going back out this way."
I guess I would be able to start rising to my feet at this point and calling, hold the gate, to the walls, keep them out.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the Brotherhood would split off, rushing up to the top, apprehending the archers and watching as the cavalry approached. Okay, Elric.
Yeah, so he like lands painfully, and then will like stand with a hatchet in one hand and a sword in the other, and like look at the guards in front of him, I guess, who have been standing here. There's also like this massive pile of weapons and of armor that he's like thrown down, and he'll like try and figure out his odds, and it doesn't look good. But he will like call out to anyone who's like watching above. This is your chance. They've been stepping on your throat for too long. Under my feet here are the weapons you can use to free yourself. He'll like shout that, and then he's going to run towards the nearest guard and try and gut him.
Okay, interesting. Okay, go ahead.
First is a 17 on the die, so a hit for sure. 23.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And a miss on the second.
Okay, how much damage you do?
Max. 12 slashing from the sword.
Oh yeah, he goes down immediately. You rip his gut out, just tear him open like a pinata.
Yeah, I'll turn to the next one and snarl at him, and that'll be it for me.
Okay, I'm gonna have him go right after you. His resolve breaks and he turns. Do you cut him from behind?
Is he a kid or is he a man?
You decide.
He's a kid, and I let him go.
Okay. Yeah, he turns running, splitting off, tearing away. You hear up in the window above you, like you hear somebody talking. You know he's right. Lord Hack has never done anything for us. There's an argument going on above. You recognize Edmund's voice. Okay.
Edmund!
A head would pop out over the window looking down at you.
Strap on a pair, boy. Now's your hour.
Okay. Velimir, I'm going to make a dex save for the horse. Oh, my word. Okay, that's a 5 on the die. That's a 9 total. 0 movement for the rest of the turn.
And just 1 piercing.
And 1 piercing. Yeah, the horse just screams in pain, whinnying and rising up. I'm going to have him roll a dex save to stay on the horse's back. He fails. He falls on his back, off the back of the horse. And the horse immediately bolts, just leaving him behind, screaming. Velimir stands and looks at you, and he's going to like kind of take a step back and then like pull himself up as only a noble can, with this like haughty arrogance.
When he
Stand down, Commoner.
When he takes that step back, does he step on a caltrop?
Sure. He takes 1 point of damage as he grunts in pain, barely preventing a girlish scream. I'm warning you. And he kind of takes another step back, this time sliding his foot instead of stepping, pulling out his sword.
Velimir Hack, for crimes against the small folk, you must be judged and found. You have been judged and found guilty.
I've done nothing. I swear.
Robbery and murder of the people of Miller's Ford. And well, when it's my turn, I'll be rushing forwards to attack him.
Yeah, he takes a defensive stance, readying an action to attack you if you charge him. Okay, tavern guards. Let's roll a percentile for the morale. Ooh, okay, that's bad. They're really hurt anyways. They kind of like look at the force that's surrounding them. They look at Velimir running, seeing their lord running is the last straw, and they kind of just slowly get down on their knees and drop their weapons. Okay, it's your turn.
So again, I'll I'll approach with my shield up defensively with a dodge maneuver, just getting into range, closing in on him.
Okay, and he'll attack you twice at disadvantage.
Okay. At disadvantage.
That's a miss. And a miss. He misses twice.
Okay.
You see him starting to whine and cry now. Say, please stand back. I didn't mean anything. Just swinging at you. Terribly. He's not a very good swordsman. He's all bravado.
What's he wearing?
Pretty much exactly what you see here. He's wearing like plate armor, no helmet. Doesn't have a shield. He's got kind of this dueling blade. Just very gaudily dressed.
That impressive. As he swings out at me, I'll take a grab at that cloak that he's got on and try and just grab it and drag him to the well and drop him down the well.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, yeah, you roll me a grapple.
Mm-hmm. That's only 14.
Okay, well, you got a 2 on the die. I think I need to replace this one. That's a 7.
So I'm only able to drag him half my move, so 15 feet towards the well this turn.
I imagine you just tug and just take his feet out from beneath him. He just collapses and is just being dragged along, kicking and screaming the whole way as you're pulling him towards the well. He's just screaming to his guards, "Don't just stand there!" And they just kind of just look away from him.
Men of Miller's Ford, what is your sentence on the man who murdered your village?
They all look at each other and then look at him. And you see one of the middle-aged men step forward. One of the men you saw up inside of the loft of that house. The people of Miller's Ford sentence him to death, as the death he has wrongfully caused on so many on these lands.
Brotherhood of without banners, what is your judgment?
Elric, you round the side of the tavern as this is happening.
Yeah, he'll be, pretty badly bloodied, like limping, and he'll just like lean against the side of the wall and watch the proceedings and see what he knows what his judgment would be, but he wants to see what everyone else thinks. And
Yeah,
it's
the
no
Brotherhood.
surprise what his judgment would be. It would be death, obviously, but he'll just watch.
Yeah. The Brotherhood kind of look between themselves. They look at him and they think about all the different lords who they've condemned and how this man is no better. In fact, in many ways, he's worse. And they just nod. We agree with Miller's Ford. Death.
Then I'll sort of try and whip the cloak round his neck so it sort of circles around as I drag him over the side of the well, and then quickly try and tie him so he's actually hung from the sort of well haft, and he's just hanging in the well from his own cloak, and he'll be hanged.
Okay. I'm just going to make him make a dex save, which he fails with a 12. And you see him like struggling with the cloak as it tightens around his throat, and he's left hanging in the center of the well. Captain Garrett comes bursting through the tavern doors as this happens. He looks at Velimir, looks at all the Brotherhood and the Miller's Ford, and starts to back away.
Throw down your weapon and surrender.
He looks at Velimir's body, looks at all the already kneeling tavern guards, and drops his sword, or the battle axe, I guess he was carrying, to the ground.
Take him. We'll take him and surrender him to the justice of Angai. He can decide what to do with him.
Okay. What does the Brotherhood do with all the guards?
I imagine we offer them the same sort of choice that we were offered. Basically, like inform them that it doesn't have to be this way, and that like fighting men can do more than just oppress small folk and steal from commoners. And those who are like willing to like serve the Lord of Light and also to like fight for the justice of small people are able to join us, and those who are not will be hanged.
Obviously, the levies of Miller's Ford and Whitehall join you. Several Captain Garrett would submit, though I don't know how much you wish to trust him. And Guy would make that decision, like you said. Roll me a persuasion. You can help him, give him advantage. Somebody. Okay, Elric.
I mean, I'm not persuasive, but with advantage, I get a 16.
Okay, roll me percentile.
Exactly 50.
Okay. So what do you say? Because you got a success, so you're gonna get an additional 20% bonus that persuades 70% of the people here to join your cause.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are options beyond this system that we're in now, and that it doesn't have to be. You don't have to either eat shit or make people eat shit. That there are other options, and you can work together to like make this, even in the hell of this war, not so hellish. That kind of thing, like of a brighter future and of like a more equal future.
Yeah, for sure. 70% of the people are of the leftover guards are swayed to your cause. The cavalry just kind of rides off, seeing the city taken. And that is how it ends. You have liberated the city of Greyholm. You have killed Velamir and basically brought about the ruin of House Hack. And you would see that no small amount of admiration, the people looking out their windows at you. For the first time, they have something they feel like they can smile about. And that is how we end the game.
Nice, man. Thanks very much.
Yep. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks for playing, everyone. So, as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the game. I'm enjoying Game of Thrones. More to come. And as always, I hope you find yourselves in your games on a roll.